we might not have anybody on here.
He texted. I already set it all up.
Did you? Hey, there's some Dan Gate. He's joining right now.
Oh, he's like right on the money.
He's
look at him, Mr.
He's on time.
Yeah.
Whoa, there he is.
Hello, gentlemen.
He's not on time. He has no time, so he has to take whatever time he can get.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me all right?
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Yep, sir.
Good deal.
How about everybody in the peanut gallery? Do we sound okay? Give us a thumbs up.
I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to sound like, but
we don't ever sound real good, but we get by.
No.
Let me introduce. Well, of course, you know Chris.
Yep.
My name's Brett Vaughn, and
okay.
Be careful, that guy sitting over there. That's Benny. Benny Griffin.
Hey, Benny.
He has a spear.
Hey, how you doing? I'm
good.
Yeah, I don't know how toxic I am across the airwaves.
He always goes armed. So.
Always armed.
And of course, you know Chris up here.
Yep. Usually we start out asking everybody what we did this week, but your topic's a little bit more important.
Well, well, what did you do this week, Dan? I'm sure you're a busy man.
Oh.
Well, it's a good thing the week just started, because it's just like a regular Monday, but my Mondays all blend together. I joke with people I'm chasing my tail, but it's a good thing it's short, so I can't catch it. So
or last week, you have a lot of meetings and stuff you go to, or
this encompasses about 90 hours a week, gentlemen, literally.
Really?
I mean, yeah, from every single thing. We run a wildlife control business, and for the last 11 months, if I've worked a total of 9 days, I will kiss your ass in the middle of the parking lot. I mean, it's all encompassing for every single aspect of this, and doesn't make me any more special than anybody else. Just makes me dumb enough to be able to do it. So, but no, it's a two-time job. My son's running the business for us, and typically, I mean, yeah, typically we're smoking stuff this time of the year. I mean, it's just, rocking and rolling. And right now he's trying to do the work of two, and I'm trying to do the work of many, just doing the stuff that we're doing. So we had our Outdoorsman Days event last weekend in Florence, Colorado, which was, 4 days of preparation for 2 days of culmination, and about 4,700 people, and a fundraising banquet on Saturday night, and a chuck wagon dinner on Friday night. And it was good, but then, immediately Monday you start trying to tear down from that and do all the stuff, and you got meetings all week, and I've got meetings all this week, and then travel, and then we got meetings next week, and so it's definitely a full boat.
For some reason, I always thought you were affiliated with Sportsman's Alliance, but you're not, are you?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
And are you an individual, or is there a group that you're associated with, or?
Well, the organization that we have is the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. It's a 501c4, and we started that in 2016. And the mission of the organization is to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. And so up until now, we're the only group that has had full-time lobbying representation at the Colorado State Capitol. We've done that since 2018. I'm also the president for the Colorado Trappers and Predator Hunters Association. I have been for 12 years. Another deal, you put a noose around your neck or your head on a chopping block, and a plethora of other things that most people would find boring, but it all goes hand in hand with everything else that we're doing, and it's allowed us to be the tip of the spear, and also to have a crosshair on our back and a red dot on the front. And when you make good headway and you make a lot of things happen, you become the target of a lot of different organizations, and that's what we've become.
Sure.
Why don't you tell us who you are? And we didn't even really introduce them to anybody.
So
everybody knows who you are, I think, but there's some that actually don't.
Well, and first, I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you guys. And we've talked a little bit and text message and emailed back and forth. My name's Dan Gates. I'm the executive director of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. I've been a lifelong sportsman. I own and operate a wildlife control business and have for the last 37 years. I've engaged in more things than I would like to mention, just out of necessity more than anything. Colorado has changed significantly over the course of the last 25 years, and the agenda for that change has been detrimental to the conservation effort and to sportsmen and women and to hunting and trapping and anything that has to do with predators. But really, when you get down to it, anything that has to do with wildlife management. The rewilding mentality that some people have in today's society is something to try to change the way that we monitor and manage wildlife through consumptive use. And it's not just Colorado centric. I mean, it's happening all over the country. It's just that this landscape has become a little bit more favorable because of the demographics and the fast pace of population growth. And so I played at this level for about 17 years. I've been appointed to a bunch of different positions, and I represent a bunch of different sectors and sit on boards and committees. And I do more of that than I hunt anymore. And even with our wildlife control business, it has diminished the opportunities to do some of that just because of the need that this is a full-time job. When you're playing at the legislature and the Parks and Wildlife Commission, and then have to worry about ballot initiatives and have to worry about fundraising and public.
Uh-oh. He froze up. Everybody froze up. Oh, man.
But it transfers into so many other things for conservation that, you know, trying to commingle and get the organizations, the acronym organizations together and be on the same page for the same reasons is a challenge in itself. And we're hoping to set up a model. We're hoping to set up a playbook and a roadmap to a victory. And based upon what we've been able to accomplish in the last 11 months on this ballot initiative by itself, maybe there's an opportunity to capitalize on that statewide, region-wide, and maybe countrywide, that maybe we've been lacking on the sportsmen and women side of things, the conservation side of things for quite some time.
Oh, I imagine. Have you had, I mean, have you had much trouble with other organizations, sportsmen's organizations, wanting to join in the fight?
You know, that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, I just got off of a Zoom meeting that lasted an hour and a half before I jumped onto this, and I'm cautious to not to criticize, but at the same time, there needs to be a critical assessment. And the reason I say that is because most of those organizations were set up 30, 40, 50 years ago as a conservation organization because they didn't need to necessarily fight in the manner that we're having to fight today. So the 501c3 side of things, their tax status side of things, has created some hoops and hurdles that they've had to jump through, which prohibits them from engaging on different things politically. Now they can't. It's not that they can't do any of it. It's just they can't do very much of it, and they darn sure can't when it comes to ballot initiatives or pieces of legislation more often than not. And so what we created was a 501c4, which allows us to do things a little bit differently. It doesn't mean that we can advocate on a vote no campaign because we have an issues committee that we formulated to do that, which is called Colorado Wildlife Deserve Better. But the C4 status gives you an opportunity to lobby and to try to promote not only your ideologies or what you think is best, but holistically from the community side, from the other organizations as well. So when you ask a question about getting them on board, some of them have, some of them haven't, for a variety of different reasons. And some have done, in my mind, better than what others have. Some are still sitting on the fence, but you know, I think we're 78 days from doomsday here on November 5th. And a lot of those organizations need to take a good hard look at what they do and how they do it, because the model has changed. The landscape has changed. The assault has changed. The attack has changed. The enemy has changed. And unless our community changes, we're going to continually dig through these weeds over and over and over again, trying to figure out how a C3 or a C6 can join forces with a C4, or maybe create a big C4, or maybe they got multiple C4s. But the tax restrictions are the biggest hurdle, not so much the organizations themselves, but they are tied and tongue-tied to some degree.
You said
And
the groups have changed. How is that?
As far as the anti-groups have changed, is they've used government funding and government money to which is our money just as much as it is theirs, to assault and attack everything that we talk about for science-based wildlife management, everything about the North American model. It doesn't matter what species or what method of take or what season. They figured out ways to commingle their efforts collectively. If you got 100 organizations trying to take, for instance, lion hunting away, there's less organizations on our side to come to the defense of lion hunters. If you got 50 organizations trying to take trapping away, well, there's less and less that are willing to turn around and put their flag in the sand and help defend trapping. All of those organizations from the opposition have a like mind in the sense to where they're willing to take it all. There's not anything that's acceptable to them, and they might say something here or there, but they haven't proven that. They've not put their money where their mouth is. Their money is our money that they go to court, and they attempt to try to sway the courts and the legislature and the ballots and the voters to get what they want. And more often than not, our side doesn't have enough numbers. We don't have enough money. And the opposition knows that. Plus, they utilize the federal government side of things to be able to help fund their efforts against the causes of science-based management.
And right now, it's the Initiative 91. We didn't really say what you were really fighting for right now. A lot of maybe some people don't know on here. Can you explain the Initiative 91?
Initiative 91 is what it is, but it won't be the final number. The final number will be determined probably by September 4th by the Secretary of State. So, I've got consternation going on in my mind right now because people are wanting to put billboards up that says vote no on 91. We've been talking about Initiative 91 for 11 months since last year, but we've also been talking about that the initiative number will not be 91. It'll actually become a proposition once the language in the blue book for the ballot has been certified or completed, and once the Secretary of State puts a number on this that'll go on the ballot. But in any event, whatever that number that turns out to be, it'll be an attempt to ban the harvest of mountain lions, bobcats, and lynx. And even though lynx are federally and state protected, they're included into this measure. The definition of trophy hunting is in the measure, but we spent several $100,000 and a lot of time and effort to be able to get trophy hunting taken out of the title over about a 4-month span, the latter part of last year and the first part of this year. So it's not a trophy hunting measure. It's not a ballot measure to ban trophy hunting. It's a ballot measure to ban hunting. And what it specifically says in the measure is the definition of trophy hunting in the measure. It specifically says that it is intentionally killing, wounding, stalking, pursuing, or entrapping a mountain lion or a bobcat. Doesn't say anything about trophy except for that's the definition of trophy. But the opposition is trying to, bamboozle, deceive the general public that this is a trophy hunting ban. You can listen to their advertisements as we speak. We're going to ban trophy hunting. Trophy hunting is cruel and inhumane. Nothing could be further from the truth that this is not a trophy hunting ban. This is a hunting ban. And the problem with that is, gentlemen, is the statutory definition. Once they define hunting as trophy hunting, you could turn around and take, mountain lions out and put, bears in, or maybe it's bighorn sheep, or maybe it's coyotes or mallard ducks. It's the interpretation of what somebody would indicate the difference between a trophy and a non-trophy. It's not that you can harvest the non-trophy in this either. You won't be able to harvest any mountain lion or any bobcat. So it's not trophy, it's actually hunting.
I went to a website called Ballotpedia, so I could look up the actual ballot. And
yes,
when you go down through there, and of course I read it and everything, and further down it says, it comes, what are the organizations? It lists the organizations that are for this ballot initiative, and then down below it says organizations that are against this. It said 0. They didn't.
Yeah, they don't do their
any
homework very good.
No, it didn't.
They don't do their homework.
I'm sure they have an agenda.
Yeah, and the agenda has been something that we've been working on for the last better part of 5 years, even though it's been going on longer than that. In 2019, we were successful in defeating a similar measure unanimously through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. And in 2020, at the beginning of COVID, we stopped that another measure, almost the exact same wording as what was in 19. In 2021, they came back to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission again, and they withdrew their petition the month before. So we figured that was, 2 wins and a forfeit. And in 2022, they came back with Senate Bill 31 to the General Assembly, the legislature in Colorado, and we defeated that measure 4-1 with a highly liberal Democratic legislature. So we beat them 3 times with a forfeit, and so we consider 4 wins. Well, then their opportunity was to go to the ballot and play their cards and see what they could do to get it on the ballot. And we did everything we could possibly do, left no stone unturned, spent, like I say, several $100,000 to get to where the process where we're at. We've been fundraising. We've been trying to message. We created the issues committee, that Colorado Wildlife Deserve Better committee. And we're in the fight for the long haul. It's just that our side, collectively and individually, needs to be able to help support the efforts here, not because it's Colorado and not because it's mountain lions or bobcats, but because if they read the measure, the interpretation of trophy hunting in there, it'll affect every single Western state when you get into things, and maybe even other states as well.
And then it don't stop at just the mountain lion. I mean, we've talked about other legislature that they want to send down that starts trying to ban hunting for does and cows.
There's been allusions to that effect. Yeah, I mean, because of the language in here about the orphaning of kittens and cubs, the illusion of that there's been talk at different levels that why couldn't that transcend into something about harvesting cow, elk, and doe deer because of potentially orphaning fawns and calves. Those are the openings, the chink in the armor, the nose underneath the tent that people need to be cognizant of. They need to be fully aware of that it's not about one thing. It's about all of it. But to get all of it, they have to go step by step and be able to do it incrementally, just like a piece of the puzzle.
And it's not just the hound hunters that should be getting involved. And I don't know if you guys listened to Meat Eater today, but, they were talking about, well, hound hunters are the first one to go when they're banning hound hunting. The other guy on there was I think it was Howl for Wildlife guy. He was on there, and he was, he said, well, why wouldn't they? That's what they like to do. Just like when they go to ban archery, deer hunters, first thing is going to be the deer hunters. Why? Because that's what they like to do. But I don't think what anybody understands, and we've talked about this, is they all have to get involved. The elk hunters, the deer hunters, like the big organizations like Rocky Mountain Elk, all them guys, shouldn't they be kind of jumping in? Because once they're done with lions and bears and predators, they're going to keep going to the next.
Yeah, and to make a point, I mean, organizations like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation have gotten involved as much as what they possibly can, although they're doing calls to action and they're doing outreach and they're doing messaging and they're helping to do some funding and so forth. Some other organizations are as well and have on different scales, depending on their financial stability or their membership or their board decisions. But, you get into the language of some of this stuff, guys, and you look at what they're doing. When they talk about electronic collars and tracking devices, those things are called out for a reason. Well, they don't want you to pursue mountain lions with them because they think that's unfair. When all reality, all you're doing is utilizing the tool to keep an eye on your dog to make sure you know where he's at and what he's doing, to where you can either call him off or you can get to him if he's in trouble or in a place he's not supposed to be. The average person, in my opinion, and look, I'm not a houndsman, but I've been around houndsmen all my life, and I am a trapper. But with the public-private land checkerboard deal that we have, it's almost imperative to be able to utilize tracking devices on your dogs to be able to find out where your dog goes and what he's doing. If you read the language in this, and they're talking about tracking devices and e-collars or whatever, how does that not transfer over at some point in time to bird dogs or waterfowl dogs or raccoon dogs or beagles or anything else? As soon as they get a piece of the puzzle, they just start building off of that. And I guarantee that when you look at their agenda and their attempt of what they're trying to accomplish, take the low-hanging fruit cut the branch off, then chop the tree down, then go into the forest. And that's what they're trying to do with sportsmen and women.
Yeah, I had a long, extensive conversation with biologists who did the last study in Colorado, him and his wife, and also with Harley Shaw. And as far as the perception, and we talked about this, the perception of using electronic devices to trail your dogs and everything, the perception that they have, and they say that a lot of the public has, is, you know, some guy sitting in his truck drinking coffee, looking at a screen, watching his dogs go tree something. And they don't ever bring out that the reason that we have that really we're using those tracks is to be able, like you said, turn our dogs around and for the safety of the hound.
Yeah, and the hypocrisy or the ignorance of some of our people on the landscape. I mean, and I won't name any names, but I'll name a particular reference to something. I talked to an individual who is an elected official that was in a particular public place where a lot of people would actually go to visit. And that person had a dog that was off leash in a place that was a leash area. And the argument to me was, I have full control because I have this collar. I have this e-collar. That same person is an individual that has argued against e-collars on hunting dogs. And so it's almost like it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander until it affects me. And then all bets are off. The problem that we're getting into when the general public gets to look at some of these things is the fact that the general public doesn't know. And if they have an e-collar, or maybe they've got a training collar and a tracking device for their dog, they view it as something to keep the dog safe, but they don't view it as something for us to keep the dog safe when we're utilizing the dog. They think it's a tool to be able to help us get game more easily and quickly with a lack of fair chase and no scruples or no laws and rules and regulations. It actually provides more of a benefit to us, as you guys all know, but the general public doesn't understand that. And if you can get them to come to some sort of center position on what the use of the tools are, just as the use of the dogs are a tool, just as the use of binoculars are a tool, it enhances your ability to see farther. What do they want to do? Turn around and take binoculars away? They want to turn around and take scopes away because you can't. They want to take lighted sights away. I mean, there's so many things that we utilize to make the hunt more successful, but more humane and more ethical and more efficient. And especially today is like what I mentioned on the dog deal, guys, with the public-private land side of things, or the different areas that one has to cross into. You have a game unit that is 59, and on the other side, it might be 581. There's a road in between. If the dog crosses on the other side of the road, maybe that other area has fulfilled its quota. Maybe it's not open. Can't hunt it. Maybe there's a permit on that side that you didn't have on this side. Those are things that the general public doesn't fully understand. And the cats aren't trophies people, the proponents of this measure, they don't care whether the public understands that or not. They're willing to lie to them. They're willing to play a smoke and mirror shell game across the board at every single level. And it doesn't matter at what fault or what story that they have to make up.
And they're willing to pay because didn't they just say that they were paying $7 of a signature or something outrageous?
Yeah, but understand that's through the circulators. That's not they're not paying me and you. They're paying me and you to go get signatures from somebody else. And so that's a standard practice through the circulator deal, to where if you can't get volunteers to do it, like they couldn't here, they were trying. They actually have companies that go out and stand on the corners with a bunch of different petitions. A lot of ones that you would see here that maybe they had 5 or 6 or 8 petitions, and they would try to get you to sign each and every one of those petitions. So if somebody was getting $4 a signature and they got one lucky guy to come by to be able to sign, maybe he'd get $36 or $40 for that one person. Now, that being said, there's a lot of things out there that we need signature gathering on, probably, that a lot of people are concerned about. That was how they met the mark to get 188,000 signatures, to where they got 140 some odd thousand signatures to qualify.
And they check that by a percentage, right? They don't check every signature.
Well, they check it by a percentage, but then if they get anywhere between a 90% and 110% validity rate of the sample that they've got, then they turn around and count every single one.
Gotcha.
It's a long, drawn-out process, but it's something where, other states have the ballot initiative process, the citizens petition type process. Other states don't. I think 26 states do and 24 states don't, for a variety of different reasons. I think ours is a little bit more lenient with what it should be. I think there should be some thresholds and stopgaps put on that. Other people think that it's maybe a little bit harder than what it should be. But those are the decisions that need to be made. And to be honest with you, if we wanted to change that, we would have to turn around and go get the signatures to be able to get it on the ballot, to take the opportunity for people to be able to vote or take the vote away from them. So it's a catch-22. It's a lesser of two evils.
Sounds like a lot of drama.
You're not telling me. Try living in a state that has become more drama infested than you can possibly imagine. I mean, Arizona is not perfect either. I mean, I know that you guys have gone through things down there just like what we have. Your population density has increased, probably tenfold. That a lot of people coming in from different parts of the country with different ideologies. Here we have different ideologies, but we also have the agenda from particular gubernatorial and legislative administrations that becomes more favorable to some of those groups that want to change things. Look, our agriculture industry is under attack. Our oil and gas industry is under attack. Our public land and resource industry is under attack. In Denver, for instance, not to get too far off track, there's 2 ballot initiatives in the city and county of Denver. I don't get to vote on those this year because I'm not a city and county of Denver resident. But 2 of those, one is called the fur ban, but it's actually about cowboy hats, fishing lures, and Native American crafts. The other one is the slaughterhouse ban, but it's not really about slaughterhouses. It's about the food source because it has to do with lambs and sheep in one particular slaughterhouse because that's the only one that's in the city and county of Denver. They're messing with the food. They're messing with the fiber on the fur side of it, and they're messing on the state side of it with conservation and the ability to manage Colorado's wildlife. That is an agenda. It's similar ideologies to change the makeup of the way people live and what they do with animals, wilder.
Do you think the wolf thing is like they see this wolf thing coming in and then it's kind of a distraction. Everybody's looking at the wolf thing. So then they're like, that's a perfect opportunity. Let's try to throw this lion thing in.
No, I think that based upon what they were trying to accomplish, as soon as our current governor got elected in 2018, and we started seeing the attacks at the Parks and Wildlife Commission and then at the General Assembly in 19, 20, 21, 22, and with gubernatorial appointments of different makeup of commissioners for the Parks and Wildlife Commission or for the Colorado Department of Agriculture or the Oil and Gas Commission. I think the people were sitting on the fence that want these type of things. They were sitting on the fence waiting for this governor or somebody like him to get elected. And once they did, and have an animal rights extremist husband along with him, there's things that, when the stars align for the right reasons for different sectors of the population, they're going to take full advantage of it. We're just trying to make sure that the stars don't continue to align and that we put a stop to it, because this has been an agenda-driven ideology all the way back since the year 2020. And if you go back to the year 2000 itself, you can read a book called The Blueprint, and you can see where it's attempting to change the makeup of Colorado at that point in time and essentially having a 10, 15, 20, 25-year plan.
Go ahead, Chris.
I heard you say in one of your speeches that you're 50-50 right now, and we're kind of at that point where we've been on flat land, or you guys have, and now that they got the signature, it's like a really steep uphill battle, and I think there's not a lot of optimism in as far as, they're going to lose it. If you ask me, I'm like, man, it's a lot of liberal attitude there. There's a big dense city people. So, are you somewhat confident, like at the voting booth, that you'll have a really good fight?
where we're at right now, I think there's a certain percentage of the public that has somewhat of a buyer's remorse on the wolf issue that was just 4 years ago. Wolves are in the news every single day. Wolves have created significant heartburn and headache and detriment to the livestock community. Wolves have created a divide, an urban-rural divide, a government-public divide. And there's a lot of people that feel that maybe they made a mistake when they voted that way. Now, that's different than bringing wolves in than taking mountain lions out. However, if those people feel similar about mountain lions and that the general public, the voters, shouldn't be managing our Colorado wildlife, that it should be left up to the experts, the scientists within our governing management agency, Colorado Parks and Wildlife. If those people feel that way, no, I'm 100% optimistic that people are people and they're going to get fed up with a lot of stuff that they're being lied to about and that they're being misled about and that maybe they didn't know the complete facts on. For instance, go back to the fur ban. When you ask the question to people about the fur ban, do you think the sale and display and the trade and the barter of fur should be illegal in the city and county of Denver? Yes. How about cowboy hats? Maybe. What about fishing lures? I don't know. What about Native American crafts? Oh, hell no. And so there's an ideology there that it's easy to say that some of this stuff is going to be predetermined before it gets there until you start asking questions and putting some logic into people, like the National Western Stock Show with that fur ban turnaround, put it out of business. How about the Denver March Powwow that's been here for 50 some odd years? The Denver Indian Market, any of the custom hat manufacturers. How about the Denver Broncos cheerleaders that couldn't buy hats because they're using fur felt beaver cowboy hats? How about Deion Sanders, who's wearing a cowboy hat that he buys in Denver to turn around and coach the CU Buffs? These are the type of things that people don't put two and two together. But just like on the mountain lion and bobcat deal, should you ban the harvest of mountain lions and bobcats? Yes. What if they're overpopulated? What if they're detrimental to the deer population? No. I mean, there's always what if, because people don't understand the repercussions or ramifications until they get a chance to learn about it and it's explained to them. And I think 4 years of explanations on the wolf deal has maybe caused a little bit of a need for education of those individuals, and they want to see and they want to educate themselves about some of the facts.
Is it true that the biologists that work for the state can't voice their opinion?
Yes.
It's not a gag order, it's just a neutral. It's like a neutral order, right? Like
it's not even a neutral. They work at the pleasure of the governor. And the governor, if he told them that they could speak, they could speak. And if he told them they couldn't speak, they can't speak. But look, the difference that I put there is I think that they should be able to say what they need to say when it comes to the facts and the data and the science and the statistics and all the studies that they've compiled over the last 55 years since we've been managing mountain lions, other than a nuisance, now that they're a big game animal and have been since 1965. But understand that if you work for Elon Musk and he doesn't want you to comment on gas vehicles, and you do, there's a chance that you might not have a job. If you work for Baskin Robbins and want to comment on how bad ice cream is for you, Baskin Robbins probably won't let you have a job anymore. Those are the things that working for somebody. And I don't work for anybody. I've been self-employed, so I can say whatever the hell I want, but I can understand the hesitancy of employees not to be able to voice their opinion. And I can also understand that we as a society need to find the data and the facts and the statistics from the people that have compiled all that information. It's sitting there in front of us. All we have to do is be curious enough to either get it, or organizations like ours need to be able to turn around and share it to interested parties.
That was a frustration I had with the biologist I talked to, that he had done the last study on something about urban lions, and it was done in Colorado. And I'm sure you've probably heard of him. And I asked him, I said, what's your opinion on hunting lions in Colorado? And he said, lions can be removed from the landscape in Colorado without hurting the population. I said, so you believe that they should be able to hunt lions in Colorado? He said, no, I didn't say that. And I said, well, what are you trying to say? He said, well, that's a human issue. He said, I'm a trained scientist. I have to stay objective. And I, me being me, I said, well, damn, you got a damn opinion, don't you? Just, but
Yeah.
he said, I told him, I said, would you be willing to go on, one of our lives, or I go interview or something, so we can create a video that has all your expertise, because he's him and his wife have been doing studying lions for over 40 years. I mean, they're real knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
He said, there's nothing in it. He said, what did he say? He said, told me something. He said, there's nothing in it for me, or something like that. And I said,
well, and understand, I mean, the argument that we give out repeatedly, and I've done this for the majority of my entire life and career, is I don't agree with every single thing that our wildlife agency does. I was around when it was not when it was the Game and Fish, but when it was the Colorado Division of Wildlife. And then in 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there, they changed it to Colorado Parks and Wildlife and merged the two organizations. Even though they remain separate money-wise, they still merged the organizations. I don't believe that I've agreed on every single thing, but I would much rather have them do it and then do the studies and the data and the fact-finding, and then come back with a report or some management objectives or some monitoring, than to turn around and just let animal rights extremists or unknowing general public attempt to try to manage it on emotion and the lack of facts and no data and no science. We need to trust the ones that we have versus the ones that want it, because the ones that want it don't want anything to happen with any of it. If you really get down to the nut cutting on it, they don't want mountain lions to be harvested, nor do they want deer and elk to be harvested.
no.
I mean, Trish Zornio last year, when this came out of the Colorado Sun newspaper, she said, why are bighorn sheep any different than mountain lions? Why are we hunting the state animal? It's not about what species it is, guys. It's the fact that we actually do it. 78 game species in the state of Colorado fund the license fees from those game species being pursued, fund 961 species of wildlife. We're not hunting 961 species of wildlife, but the game species and the fishing side make up the bulk of the funding for the agency that manages all the wildlife and all the lands and all the resources, and does it with 5.9 million people with 84 million annual visitors. Wow. It's a pretty monumental deal and a task. I don't want some crazy lunatic woman who thinks that we shouldn't eat any of it, we shouldn't manage any of it, or what we're supposed to do or not do with it, taking that over. I don't think they're qualified. I don't think that they're doing anything other than emotion. And I don't think that they care about the facts and the data. And I don't really think that when it gets down to it, that they care about the wildlife, and they damn sure don't care about the people.
Benny, get your spear.
Well, you mentioned the fishing, and that's in my mind the whole time, because fishing's on the agenda too. They may not say it, they may voice it, it may not be in the writing today, but it's there. Just like you said, it's one piece of the puzzle every time something goes down. And so fishing is I've been an outsider fishing in the state of Colorado. I lived in the state of Colorado too, and fishing is a huge period.
Yeah. That if you listen to what, and I've testified enough, and I've interacted enough, and I've fought back and forth enough. Like I said, when you're the president of the trappers, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be the target of somebody. And if you take on other roles that go along with that, you just make a bigger target out of yourself. But I have asked some of my adversaries repeatedly, and they've been asked on a hot mic historically, you don't agree with Mr. Gates's or the association that he represents numbers. You don't agree with the numbers of the managing agency or the scientist and the biologist. What numbers do you have? Well, we're not prepared to say that. And they're not prepared to say it because their number is 0. If we harvest 10,000 of something, they think we should harvest 0. If we harvest 5,000, they think it should be 0. If we harvest 2, they think it should be 0. And if you compare the notes of what we've been able to observe over the last 15 or 18 years, it's the same story that comes from the same people with the same message on the same paycheck. And if you compare the numbers on our side, and I said this at a Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society banquet back in May, there's less bighorn sheep and mountain goat and moose hunters in the state of Colorado than there is lion hunters. They've already thrown a baton out there to say, why are we harvesting bighorn sheep? I guarantee that they get rid of mountain lions and bobcats because of the trophy language.
Yeah,
that it's easy enough for them to turn around and throw something else out because there's less sheep, goat, and moose hunters combined than there is lion, and they have already said that they're going after the low-hanging fruit.
It's one of those key words, trophy.
Yep.
They have trophy waters. So words matter. People say, well, that's just one word. Well, words matter.
Especially when it's in statute.
The thing that and I'm not very well versed on politics or anything like that. The thing that bothers me is that the population density in the big cities are allowed to vote on this, and they have no practical knowledge of what we do, and these people get a hold of it and distort it and pull on their heartstrings. And I guess from what I understand, they're allowed to vote on everything, whether, and that's where the biggest population is. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. And you got to figure, I mean, there's something like, out of the 5.9 million people in the state of Colorado, roughly 4.7 million of them live within 25 miles east or west of the I-25 corridor from Colorado Springs all the way to Fort Collins. That being said, not all of them believe in banning everything. Yeah. Not all of them believe in fake meat. Not all of them believe in electric cars. Not all of them believe in a variety of different things. But they find the centric position, and they have to figure out why it benefits or why it adversely affects them to make a right decision when it comes to the ballot. Mm-hmm. The antis, more often than not, use lies and deceitful tactics, the smoke and mirrors, to say, we're going to create an extinction. We're going to extirpate specific species because we continue to harvest. Those are facts. That's what they say. Those are out there. We've recorded them. We've used them in some of our social media spots. There's not one instance that they can cite where an animal has become extinct through highly regulated hunting practices. But they say it enough and the general public believes it. Well, if we're going to keep killing lions, they're going to go extinct. We're going to extirpate the population. But when you tell that general public that in 1965 we had less than 200 mountain lions in the state of Colorado when they were a nuisance, when they were a predator, and when sportsmen and women in the old game and fish department came together and said that they're going to make mountain lions a regulated big game species, they went from 200 in 1965 to between 4,000 and 5,000 now, with 55 some odd years of regulated science-based hunting practices. But they can still say, the opposition could still say, but they're going to go extinct. Show me how the hell that works when you say that they're going to go extinct if we keep harvesting them when we've actually grown by 20 or 25 or 30 times over the last 55 years.
Well,
you say a lie enough, people are going to believe it.
That was one of the things that I'd seen in their graphs, is that there was more lions harvested in the last 3 years than the previous years. And I can see where a person could say, well, they're killing all the lions. But they don't understand that the real thing is that there's more lions now than there was. That's why the harvest has gone up.
There's more lions, and there's more dispersal of lions. The population density of lions has grown. The West Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan that they've had, now they're trying to enact an East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan, which is beneficial to the species. It's all beneficial to the management side of it. But people that, look, I argue with these people, and I try to do it very professionally. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. But when they say that we're not doing things right, and you ask them, how should we do it? Well, it can't be done like that. You ask them for a recommendation, a suggestion, or an alternative. Well, it has to be different. How should it be different? Well, it can't be done like that. They never have an answer except for stop. That's the answer. It's zero. And if they could sit down and turn around and say, you should do it like this, you should do it like that. No, their studies all show, their own internal studies all show you shouldn't do it at all, period, for no reason. When we look at the language that they've got in this specific ballot, there's multiple exceptions or exemptions to the rule of order where they're considering it to be hunting. You can still hunt. but it's conflict and depredation issues that remain in our statute now, where we actually do those, but those are not considered part of the hunt. Those are conflict resolutions, human-animal conflict resolutions, problem solving. But they're BSing the general public to turn around and say, look, they can still hunt. There's these exceptions they can hunt. They're not hunting practices. It's conflict resolution practices. It's not even management practices. It's depredation issues on livestock and pets and human health and safety. But they convince the general public, look, they have these exceptions. Well, we have those exceptions now with regulated hunting. It's not like they're giving us anything. They're just trying to be bamboozle and befuddle the general public to say, look, we're not taking it all away. We're just taking the trophy hunting side of it away.
Which is all of it. But they're also out there spreading the word. And I've heard 1,000 times, someone just commented on this, that they were at a wedding in Colorado. I said it was Cord Barton. I said it last week, but I just got back from a wedding in Denver, and it blew my mind that not one person knew about Initiative 91.
Oh, no, I don't doubt that one bit. We did a poll here not too long ago that came out about 10 days ago, and I think it was determined that like 36% of the current voters in the state of Colorado knew about Initiative 91, which is not yet to be determined on what ballot number. But back in 2020, it was like 28 or 29% of the individuals that were polled at that particular time that knew about the wolf issue. So until it's crunch time, 45 to 30 days out from the actual election day, it's not like a presidential election. Everybody knows what idiots are going to run for that, no matter what side of the fence you're on. Here, there's not people talking about mountain lions regularly. Wolves are still taking up the subject matter when it comes to wildlife conversation. People are, they're excited about the new football season. They're excited about the new hockey season. They're excited about the ongoing baseball season. Their kids are restarting school. They're trying to get another week of family vacation in. They've got things coming up for the 3-day holiday. They don't give a rat's ass what's happening 60 days from now when it comes up to ballot box biology or anything that pertains to that until they get the blue book in hand, if they read it, or until the ballots are sent in the mail and they have to turn around and make a decision on what to vote on or what not to vote on.
Do you know what the title is on that? Don't they have to put the title in? Didn't you fight that, or what's the title on that?
The title specifically does not include trophy hunting. It is the ban. Shall the people of Colorado, prohibit the harvest of mountain lions and bobcats? Period. I mean, there's not anything in the title anymore about trophy hunting. We circumvented that, got it out of there, and so. But if you read the complete title, it includes the exceptions, and it includes the penalties, and it includes all the stuff that nobody gives a rat's ass about. They just want to know whether they're going to allow the harvest of mountain lions and bobcats. But it's the longer the title they create and the more subjective they make it to the general public, that's when it becomes more and more confusing to where people just go, oh, I can't read this. I'm just checking a box, especially when you have 7 or 8 or 10 different ballot measures that are going to be on the ballot, plus your elected officials, plus anything that's happening on a national level, plus anything that's happening on a local level. I mean, you get a ballot too damn long and people just start checking boxes, and a lot of times they'll just check no. They don't understand it. They don't fully comprehend it. And what they might comprehend, I think they keep seeing wolves in the news over the course of the last 4 years, and specifically the last 10 months since we introduced a few of them. We're pretty confident that there's going to be some consternation and some buyer's remorse on the people just to make the decision that is needed to be made, even if they don't fully understand it, because they don't have an opinion one way or the other.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, Sonny asked if the NRA or does the NRA get involved in any of this, or they sit out?
NRA has sat out.
And what about any of the rifle, Winchester, any of the big companies? Are they all just kind of sitting out?
Nobody has jumped on board as of yet.
That's what irritates the shit out of me with Garmin. I mean, they won't. We spend a lot of money with Garmin, and they won't. Take a stand.
And look, I was like some celebrity roadshow guy going around shaking hands and kissing babies all back in January, February, March, April, and May. I've been traveling all over the country. This is like the 75th podcast that I've done now. I've been on some of the biggest ones and some of the smallest ones and a bunch of the middle ones. What I can tell you is everybody in every state has got their issues. Everybody in every state has their key talking points or their catchphrases or the things that are coming up locally or statewide or regionally or whatever. The problem with this is this would be the first time in the country that trophy hunting would be defined as hunting, and it'll be a statutory definition. A preemptive strike from the opposition to turn around and help set case law and precedent to where when somebody else wants to do it here or in any other state, whether you want to use a dog, whether you don't.
It would spread then because of that precedent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's where the general sportsmen and women, when I allow them to read the language for themselves, and you can look it up on our website, which is savethehuntcolorado.com. But if you look at the language on the site that will be in the blue book or on the ballot, and somebody looks and goes, wait a minute, wait, whoa, it says dogs here. Yeah. It doesn't say hound dogs. It just says dogs. Now, the interpretation for this particular measure talks about mountain lions and bobcats. So we're probably not going to use a Brittany Spaniel or a Beagle on a mountain lion or a bobcat. I'm not saying you won't, but most guys aren't.
Benny could use a poodle and catch a lion.
Yeah, but he's got that big spear there, so he could probably turn around and take care of it. But I think once people read it for themselves and interpret it, because I joke about this, that if 10 people sat at an intersection, a four-way stop, and there was an accident, and you went to ask each one of those people what they saw, they'd come up with different stories. You probably have 10, maybe 12 different stories. It was same intersection, same time, same accident, but some were looking on their phones, some were watching the other driver, some were jacking with the radio, some were slapping the crap out of the kids in the back, and that something happened. I think that that's going to be the case on this, because the interpretation of people is what they read and how they interpret it. If they want to read the blue book, they're going to have a completely different idea in their mind, besides if they just read the ballot language, the title. If you read the title, you're going to have a completely different perspective of the 2.5 pages that are in the blue book.
How's the best way to get the word out to the general public? And do you have talking points that you have available that you could send out to us?
We just got off the phone with this Wildlife Deserve Better Issues Committee, which I'm the chair of. And some of our strategy organizations that you talked in, and Chris, you mentioned Howl for Wildlife, they sat on that call. There is a formulation of information that is being compiled, but keep in mind that until we have the exact language that is written, the interpretation of the blue book, which today was the third draft of the draft analysis for the blue book. Until that has been solidified, the best thing we can tell people to do is say no on the hunting ban. Don't support ballot box biology. Support science-based wildlife management. Until we get a number, and until we actually have the language in the blue book, you don't want people putting too much information out, because if it's misinformation, just like what we're talking about the initiative, people want to put billboards and signage up and do full-page ads and yard signs saying vote no on 91. 91 will not be in the blue book or on the ballot, gentlemen. And so the damage that's been created for that so far is probably not insurmountable, but too much more of it, or even more misinformation going down the road, could be insurmountable, especially the closer to the timeline that we get for the election. So supposedly, by September 4th, we'll have a final language that'll be in a blue book. We'll also have a final number. And at that point in time, talking points and messaging will be available, and it'll be available on the Colorado Wildlife Deserve Better website, which is wildlifedeservebetter.com. Anybody can go there and get the particular information to utilize for their social media, for their websites, everything. But that's being compiled as we speak because of the unknowns that will exist when it actually comes to the final language and the number.
When is that final language supposed to be done by? Do they have a date?
September 4th.
Okay. And then we'll know exactly what's on it September 4th. 5th.
So
September, it might be a little earlier than that, but likely September.
So if we were going to put out information, we need to wait until after September 4th so we get the correct information put out there, and then and then go from there. What did you guys? I mean, how do you guys plan on getting the word out? Do you have billboards or radio or whatever?
Well, I mean, look, this is a comprehensive and integrated campaign. I mean, this is just not unlike any other thing that on a presidential election, except for the fact that we don't have $500 million to try to do it. But between social media and print and television and billboards and maybe yard signs or maybe a variety of different things, anything you could think to possibly get. But keep in mind, and this is the hardest thing for our side to realize, because I've got guys criticizing us right now. Well, we sent you money and you haven't done anything with it. Well, that's not true, because we've been fighting this for the last 11 months, and it's not like this stuff just grows and falls off of trees. The Secretary of State, Supreme Court, Title Board, strategies, the decline to sign campaign, the setup of the issues committee, compliance, auditing, accounting, all this crap costs money. And we just don't have it falling from the sky. So when somebody says we haven't done anything that they've seen, because they haven't paid attention, because we haven't been trying to talk to them, except for my dumbass running around the country trying to get the stakeholder involved, try to get the guys to realize that this is not an insurmountable, fight. We can actually do what we need to do to play in the game. But when we do start advertising, you might see a few things. I mean, you guys are the same guys as I am. We're not advertising to us. We're talking to the target audience. Everybody on here, well, Chris, maybe, I mean, you're 40, 50, 60 years old. Maybe older.
50.
Benny's 70 something, aren't you, Benny?
Yeah.
He is hunting with a spear, so I mean,
That's true.
But maybe that's because he can't own a firearm. I don't know. It's like so
that could be true too.
We probably did the wrong thing, because when our donor that said that he would match everything up to 10 grand, when he called me and asked me, he said, "What do you think about this?" I told him, I said, as long as the big cities and where all the population is can vote on this, I said, it scares me. I don't know if it would pass. And that was when he said, "Well, I'll give 10,000."
Yeah, it should scare you, but keep in mind that we're not going to, I mean, you're going to see some overflow from the advertisements if you're in our age bracket and you live in Colorado. But we need to concentrate the 18 to 44-year-old soccer mama too, that lives in that I-25 corridor that we're talking about, that doesn't know anything about this. You know how she gets her information? Social media, or maybe off Hulu, Instagram.
Can you target them through
Netflix?
Facebook? Can you target them through Facebook? Will they allow that?
We can target whoever the hell we want at whatever demographic.
Perfect.
Wherever the hell we want, for whatever we need. But you and I won't see that.
No.
Yeah, because we're not the target. I mean, Brett talked about that houndsmen don't want to, houndsmen don't watch houndsman videos sometimes. It's people who don't get to go hound hunting.
Yeah, we're preaching to the choir.
And that's I was thinking about the Lionheart video today, how they're kind of going around and doing this thing with that Lionheart video. But isn't it all hunters that get to see that? I mean, shouldn't that be on Netflix?
No, that's actually when we're doing it. We're doing it in 2 weeks. Well, actually, we're doing it next week in downtown Denver at the Paramount Theater.
Okay.
And it's targeted to the general public. It's not targeted toward the anti. We need to scratch the anti off our head. It's targeted to the non-hunter.
To the guy who's neutral. He doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, because look, 86% of all Coloradans agree with regulated and support regulated wildlife management, regulated hunting. Now, you start to lose traction when you get into predators, or when you get into trapping, or when you get into whatever. But 86%, and that's a proven fact. It's just that it starts to degrade and erode when you go down from there. You got to realize that the average voter in the state of Colorado, if we only have 260,000 big game license holders, not including non-residents, we're less than 5% of the population. If we continue to talk to 5% of the population, we will lose this. We have to talk to that remaining part of the population. And so let's just say there's 10% hunters, 10% anti-hunters. That means that you've got 80% in the middle. We don't need the 80%. We just need 41 of the 80, because we've already got 10% on the other side. That's what the wolf deal did. The starting point on the wolf deal was a lot worse off than where it ended up, guys. The wolf deal lost by less than 0.5%, or just right at 0.5%. It was like 50.9 to 49.1 or something. The fifth, yeah, it was 0.5%. If we do that here, and you've got buyer's remorse or consternation from the people that voted for wolves, we win. We don't need to win by 70%. We just need to win by 50 plus 1. And I think that's
excuse me for a second.
That's where we get to a point when we just look at the odds of what it is. I don't believe that 5.9 million people in the state of Colorado are stupid SOBs. I don't believe that they're ignorant. I believe that they're uneducated to the point about specific things that they need to be brought to the middle on to make an educated decision that is going to help them and help their kids and help their life and help the wildlife and help Colorado manage its resources. I still believe in a good part about it because I think that it's there, and I think that we can actually gain some significant traction to make the right decision, especially given the makeup of the political side of things, and especially given the other decisions that these voters are going to have to make when it comes to freaking cowboy hats, fishing lures, and if you can turn around and have somebody kill lamb for lamb chops.
Isn't there a story about the cowboy hat where someone was against or for the fur ban, but he was running around in a felt cowboy hat, a beaver cowboy hat?
Well,
like an official?
The governor himself.
Yeah,
the governor himself turned around and was at the National Western Stock Show, which is one of the largest economic boons to the city of Denver, the county of Denver, the Front Range, National Western Stock Show, and the governor was actually wearing a beaver felt cowboy hat. I mean, there's the hypocrisy of this is not so much to where everybody wants to turn around and shut it off. It's just that if you don't know whether it should be shut off or not, and you're doing it on emotion and not facts and science, you're likely to make the wrong decision.
I'm gonna break into some money right now because I've been asked some questions because I just tell everybody to go to Save the Hunt Colorado, and I've gotten some emails saying, well, it's better to donate to the what's the other one you said?
The Issues Committee. Wildlife deserve better.
But and I said, well, kind of like I wanted an explanation. He said, well, because their money's 100% goes to the initiative fighting it, and then Save the Hunt Colorado, like you running around, it ain't free, so we're spending money on that. But I said, well, who's advocating for the other one? Is there someone? So all they're doing is the Issues Committee, they're paying for all the ads, right? All their money goes to the ads. And when this initiative is done, when it's voted for, they're disbanded, right?
The Issues Committee will be disbanded when this is done and over with, whether it succeeds or not. But the difference between the two,
Colorado is not.
Well, hopefully, Save the Hunt Colorado continues to remain solvent. I mean, if hypothetically, facetiously, if you lose by 80% to 20%, what value does Save the Hunt Colorado have anymore? I mean, then you have to look at the losses or the wins that you think that you could actually engage in. Look, Colorado law, the way it's set up is you have to have an Issues Committee to fight a ballot. Period.
Okay.
We formulated the Issues Committee. Period. I'm on the chair of the Issues Committee. Period. We would not have an Issues Committee if we didn't have the resources and the means and the team and the strategies and the attorneys and all the outreach and the education. We wouldn't have any of that if we didn't have Save the Hunt to get us to the point to where we're at now. But by law, the Issues Committee is accountable. It's transparent. Save the Hunt, I don't have to acknowledge the donors. You give me $50, the Issues Committee, they will know it in 24 hours of who you are and where you come from. You want to give $100,000? They will know exactly who you are and where you come from. That's not necessarily bad, but either way, there's no tax-deductible contribution to either one of these. You donate to the campaign or you donate to the C4. You don't get any benefit to that except for the fact that you know that you're contributing to the cause to be able to turn around and try to promote and save mountain lion and bobcat hunting and science-based wildlife management. If people want to contribute to one or the other, so be it. We have people contributing to both because both have to be able to be functional. The operational plan is to still have to talk to people like us. Well, I tell you what, guys, I can't spend 90 hours a week doing this stuff and run an association to have attorneys and to have accounting and to have messaging and to have strategy and to have travel, as you mentioned, to be able to turn around and do this. There has to be dual arms of this if we're going to survive, because the one can't survive without the other. But one of them has to have the other one to be able to turn around and help promote and help defend and help enhance. And keep in mind, too, the Issues Committee is not part of the legislative arm. The Issues Committee does not fight the lobbying side of it. The Issues Committee does not engage at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. This side does this and everything within its powers legally on the side of the ballot. And there's certain things that we can and can't do. The Issues Committee can do a lot, but the Issues Committee can't fight on the legislative side. The Issues Committee can't fight on the commission side. So it's a three-pronged approach. There's three legs to this stool to make this work. And the biggest problem is that our community has not figured out a way to do any of this from a 501c3 status, and most organizations have not propped up a C4 because it's not tax deductible, so nobody wants to contribute to it. Those are the biggest issues. Is somebody saying we should do this or do that? They need to look at all aspects of what we're doing. Right now, kick in money to the Issues Committee. But if you're concerned about the overall message and the campaign itself, kick in money to both of them, because it takes both of them to pull this off at all levels to make sure that it can survive.
Yeah.
And the money goes towards what now? I'm sorry, I'm
every single thing on the Issues Committee. Every single thing is going exactly to the fight. But the fight might be polling. The fight might be ballot chasing. The fight might be messaging. The fight might be attorneys.
So that doesn't include commercials or radio time or whatever you have.
It's everything. The full campaign. Everything that it takes to be able to turn around and get a message out.
So as of September 4th, you will have the wording that you need for any kind of commercial or any kind of talking points that people should be, if they're talking to the general public and trying to explain to them what they should look out for.
What you're going to have September 4th, and to reiterate, is you're going to have the language that the Secretary of State certifies that it'll be on the ballot in the measure, and then we will have a number. At that time, both of those can be transcended into an education program that can go out to the general public, and there will be talking points and messaging on the Colorado Wildlife Deserve Better website that'll indicate this is what you say here, and this is what you do there, and this is where you go with this, and this is what you do with that. We know that we've got two different audiences here.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how I could incorporate that into my other YouTube channel. How I could incorporate a commercial into that. I just looked at my analytics. In 30 days, I had 15,000 views from Colorado, and I mean that's worth something. And I thought I could incorporate something into that.
It's worth something, Brett. But you got to understand too that that's the same thing that CRWM with Save the Hunt is doing to talk to the stakeholder. Same thing that we've been doing to talk to the stakeholder. Our side needs to be educated just as much as the other side, but for different reasons. Our side wants to know, what are you doing with the money? How come I don't see advertising? How come I don't see billboards? They don't understand when you're trying to do it. There is a strategy to this. You don't call all your secret plays out during the first quarter of the Super Bowl. I mean, if you do, you would lose like the Denver Broncos did back in 2015 or whatever the hell it was. I mean, look, there's a strategy because our side still doesn't understand what a ballot initiative. We still got guys that are saying, well, I'll call my legislator. You should, but he don't have no say in this matter.
It's the general public.
It's the general public, our side needs to be educated for the plan. Our side needs to be educated for the strategy. But our side, when it gets down to it, is not going to see the bulk of the messaging and the advertisements that goes out. They're going to see some of it, but it's not targeted toward them.
But the majority of my audience on my other channel, they're not hound hunters. They're the general public. They're just regular people who like the adventure outdoors. Because when I was just making hound hunting videos, I mean, I'd get 6,000 views a video. When I started making videos to hit the general public, I started getting 20,000 to, I mean, I've got a video that's got over 600,000 views. And so I just want to make sure that if I do something in my videos, I say it properly and correctly.
Yeah, and that resource packet, that resource page will be available shortly after the 4th. But keep in mind, like I said, I just got to reiterate, the general public has a very, 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 very short attention span.
Yeah.
If we kick out stuff from the 4th to the 14th of September, or from the 14th to the 24th of September, it's probably going to fall on deaf ears, and they're not even going to remember what the hell they're talking about until they open that ballot book up.
So it needs to be
until
run
they start seeing
2 weeks prior to, what is it, November 3rd or whatever?
Well, probably you start doing it in our mind anyway. You start doing it pretty solidly the first part of October, and then carry it as hard as fast as you possibly can until November 5th. But there's so many distractions in today's life, especially for things that don't appear to appeal to anybody. We're all concerned with it, because we're intimately involved and we're engaged in it. But the guy who knows a guy who used to lion hunt and have dogs, he doesn't give a rat's ass until he has to check the box, and then he's going to remember anything that he saw in the last 48 hours to 106 hours or whatever. But if you saw it 3 months ago or 2 months ago, hell, half the time he's listening to the wrong information about the number. Once he starts seeing what the opposition does, then we turn around and counter, and then the opposition does stuff. He's going to make his decision as much as what he possibly can. We're just trying to give the facts out.
Are you going to have somebody record something that would be available for us to reshare?
Oh, there's going to be plenty of assets on that page of Wildlife Deserve Better.
So we can get on there and just download it, and then I can run it just on my YouTube channel, just like a commercial, and somebody else saying it instead of me.
You bet. Exactly. Yep. All that stuff will be shareable. The graphics will be designed appropriately for a different message. A lot of that stuff will be out, and it'll change to some degree. I mean, you might see a different message come out partially through the campaign because of maybe what the opposition does, or maybe if somebody was to get attacked by a wolf or a mountain lion, or maybe wolves or mountain lions became more newsworthy at some point in time, maybe the message would change. Maybe something else would become not as valuable, or maybe somewhat obsolete because the news would have changed. Everybody wants sensationalism. They want it right up front. They want it now. And they want to be able to turn around and try to capture the best thing that is going to get, it's clickbait. I mean, you wouldn't believe from the media side of stuff of when the media contacts us right now and they want us to rebut what the opposition is doing, we typically get 45 minutes to an hour's notice. And if we can't respond in that timely manner, you know what they say? They would not respond. There was no comment from the opposition. You didn't even give us a chance. I mean, it's like if you're out of cell phone coverage or you're busy working or you're trying to get something done, you got to respond by 1 o'clock, and you called me at like 20 to 1. I mean, they want sensationalism. They want oppositional forces. They want us against them. They want good versus evil, because that's what sells newspapers, and that's what people turn around and click on the news for. We're trying to do a long, steady, educated process to get to the point and get to the facts and make sure that the people see that through exposure and saturation over a period of time, whenever we can start, and however much money we got to be able to carry it till November 5th.
So when is we've been getting asked this a lot too, is when do we stop sending money?
November 5th.
Okay.
I mean, literally, because people don't vote. I mean, Election Day has a deadline. And if we have X amount of dollars sent in on the 30th of October, it's going to get spent, because we want to make sure that we're doing every single possible thing. And I say that as the issues committee with Colorado Wildlife Deserve Better. But there's operational forces out there at so many different levels to where, I assume the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is going to turn around and do some parallel messaging about the benefits of hunting and fishing. They're probably not going to engage in vote no because they can't, because they're a C3. We will kick in some parallel messaging. I know SCI, different chapters of SCI want to do some different messaging. I know individuals that want to do some different messaging. It might be just on social media. But money will get spent all the way up until Election Day, and then we'll see just where the value was in the playbook and the roadmap that we've created.
Wayne was kind of like, he says, well, we should be power training out right now every day, but like the other guy says, it costs money. we'd love to, like he said, if Elon Musk gave 20 million, we could absolutely go full steam ahead and just saturate. But we don't have the funds that Cats does.
No. And the thing is, it's not so much the funds, it's how much of the funds were. If people, I mean, I think tonight the Democratic convention starts. You know, the landscape changed significantly when Biden stepped out and Harris jumped in. The political side of things, you look at that and say, well, that's national politics. But it did change the voters' perception on a lot of different levels. It gave them maybe some invigoration to do one thing or another, depending on who you like. Nobody really cares about bobcats and mountain lions, except for the guys that care about bobcats and mountain lions. And we just have to turn around and be very meticulous and very strategic in the message that's created from our community. Just like I was telling you about the Initiative 91. I find it admirable that people would turn around and paint billboards on the side of their tractor trailers in the middle of the field along an interstate that says vote no on 91, but it's the wrong message. Let's wait until we get the facts and the data and the numbers to put the right message out. Because maybe that guy that drove by it, maybe he saw it 4 times. And then he turns around and sees it the next time 2 weeks later and it's another number. Does he think it's another measure? Does he compare it and say, oh, yeah, they changed that? Or does he just automatically know that it's automatically to be changed? Or is he actually looking for 2 ballot numbers on the ballot? Those are the things that we can do a better job community-wise to make sure that we're strategic and aligned with the resources we have, the teamwork that we've got, and the messaging that goes forward.
And we're just talking about this initiative or this ballot, this prop, whatever it is, Prop 29, whatever it's going to be. But I don't know nothing about any other prop on that. So if I'm just a hunting guy and I'm going in to vote for this, I have no clue what else is on that. And what am I going to do? Am I going to run down there and just kind of read the title? I'm like, oh, yeah, no, yeah. You know what I mean? I get to mine, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know this one. But who says there's not something up there in there that affects even us down further?
Well, and I think look at the poor guy that's in the city and county of Denver, that he has the fur ban to vote on, the slaughterhouse ban to vote on, and the state issues to vote on. We don't have to worry about that stuff, but it does affect our election just because of the similarities to it, the domestic and wildlife side of it. But the guy in the city and county of Denver, he's looking at it and going, okay, well, how does this affect me? And what do I do with that? And he doesn't have to worry about the grand scheme of things. We're trying to worry about the whole state and then concerned a little bit about what the repercussions or ramifications of the city and county of Denver ballot would be. But I mean, these are strategic aspects of why we have a campaign manager, why we have a strategic operational group, why we have the attorneys, and why we have the experts that have gone through many different ballot measures on a variety of different things, the polling that you need to do, the strategy that you need to do, the fundraising that you need to do, and how you appropriately measure your opportunities to be able to get that message to the public. There's so many different variables that the average guy just thinks you check a box and then the votes are counted. That's not the case. We found that out after the last 11 months, and we got 3 months left to go.
I guess what all we're saying is how can we help? What can we do?
And that information will be on the website, and we get asked that all the time. But there again, in the meantime, you can turn around and educate people about don't support the hunting ban in Colorado. Don't support ballot box biology. Make sure you support science-based wildlife management. If you do anything other than that, we're convinced that you will probably misinform to some degree. And the more people are misinformed, if they find out the truth or they get frustrated with it because they can't get the information they're looking for, or they're not seeing the advertisements that they want, but they don't understand it's not time appropriate. It is time sensitive to make sure that we launch our plans from the sportsmen and women community to do it with strategy and succinctness and bullet pointedness. I mean, we're getting ready to start archery season here on the 2nd. Of course, there's sheep season and a bunch of different archery seasons going on now. Then you got bear season. Then you got muzzleloading season. Then you get into first rifle, second rifle, third rifle. People are concerned about far more different things that's happening next week when they get ready to go hunting as opposed to what's happening 78 days from now.
It's such a short
they might be concerned about it. Yeah, that's part of the problem. And so educating our side to be able to educate their congregation and their coworkers and their family and their friends and their neighbors, to let them know what hunting means to them and why they shouldn't support the ballot box biology and the lies and the deceitfulness that's out there. The facts are going to come out. It's just a matter of whether people are going to pay attention to them. The assets are going to come out. It's just a matter of whether people want to utilize them, and who they want to utilize them to are going to pay attention to. But there's no sense in getting premature on stuff. I mean, some of my analogies maybe go, a little off canter, off kilter, but a lot of people would like to go see a Denver Bronco game when they play the Oakland Raiders or the LA Raiders now. But just because you got tickets on the 1st of September for the 15th game doesn't mean you can use them. And that's what we're doing now. We have the tickets available for November 5th. We've got the strategy. We've got the team. We've got some of the resources. We're building up all of that. But there's tons and tons of backdoor conversations and meetings. And I told you that 90-hour-a-week stuff, and that's not BS. It's what it's taken at this point in time. And our team is working diligently to be able to do that. But it has to be done so bullet pointed to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's, or you're liable to stumble on your efforts and then find out that you got to pick up the pieces and start over again.
I think Wayne's getting a little riled up because he's talking about, I'm hearing a lot of excuses. Sorry, guys, there's simple logistical issues here, and it's honestly alarming. Is it the funds or not? It's always the funds. The other side, Katz is getting money from everybody. Sonny said, where does the majority of the funding come from? Us. Hunters right now,
Hunters,
and we're trying to get we're trying to get money. Like those guys get money from non-hunters.
They're getting money from non-hunters, but it goes into the deal of how much is it worth to you to save hunting in Colorado, or how much is it worth to some organization to take hunting away in Colorado? Everybody knows who's contributed money to Wildlife Deserve Better. Everybody knows who's contributed money to Cats Aren't Trophies. I can tell you the money that's been contributed to CRWM over the course of the last 11 months, and I'm not knocking anybody, so don't take it. But it takes a lot of $20 donations to get to a $5 million threshold. When organizations kick in $250,000, $500,000 for the opposition, doesn't take that long to get to the point they need to be at.
And they're wanting what, $4 million? Isn't that what Carol Baskin is calling for?
Yeah.
And Wayne, I think Wayne, he said, well, why don't you guys send out packets? But I think we've talked about this before, that costs money too. Like there's so much. There's so much information on your website or your Instagram. You can go just share that information. And it's just like the vote no on Prop whatever. People want you to send the signs, but go down to your print shop and print out 10 of them.
And that's a good comment, Chris, because a sign will cost about $6, a yard sign. We've had people say, I would take 6. Okay, that's $42. But it costs us $28 to send $42 for the signs. So UPS or the local shipping place is making more than what it is to be able to utilize those signs. So if people would turn around and put their money where their mouth is, and they would go down to the print shop and they would get 5 signs made, once we have a number that we can turn around and say, support based wildlife management, vote no on whatever, and they distribute those, that could be their contribution to the cause. Because in today's environment, it's not feasible. And not to mention the fact, keep in mind, the presidential election here in the state of Colorado has an office in every county, whether it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Somebody's sitting there running that in every county. Most gubernatorial candidates have offices in some capacity in every county. We don't have that. So how are you going to get signs from 300 miles away without shipping them? Because there's not a place that they can turn around and go pick them up.
Yeah.
If people would take, this is a critical assessment. If they're going to spend $60 on a resident deer license or $800 on a non-resident elk license, if they would take $60 and go get some signs made at the print shop to put in their yard or give them to their neighbor or put them on their car, we could have an army that was undeniably the most strongest, well-equipped, most reputable, relevant army on the planet. But for us to turn around and say that we're going to kick out 260,000 yard signs at $6 a piece and then turn around and try to ship them, sorry, that's not happening in today's environment.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Wayne's just irritated that we're not going full blast right now, but you don't have the money. If you had, I don't know if you can kind of project this, but if you had the money to go full blast right now to November 5th, what do you think that would cost you? What would you need every month? What do we got? 8 weeks.
You got 78 days.
So how much would it cost you every day to go full blast with commercials, signs? It's not $10.
Everything that we look at right now, it's a $4 million campaign divided by 78 days. It'll be a $4 million campaign divided by 77 days, and a $4 million campaign divided by 63 days. And if we can't do it at that level, not only are we not competing with what the opposition wants to do, we're not saturating and exposing the target audience how we think that we need to. Keep in mind, and it sounds like this is a bunch of excuses, but it's facts. $100 worth of advertising in the month of September on a presidential election year could have been bought if somebody would have contributed $25 in April. But if they contribute $25 in September, it's not worth $100. Period. As soon as you get into a presidential election, the buy goes up, the cost goes up significantly. I don't care if you're in a blue state like Colorado and Kamala Harris is running, or if you're a red state, like Tennessee and Donald Trump is running. The buy goes up substantially. So whatever we were looking at stuff before, and we were looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a 60% investment, that if you bought something for $40, it was worth $100 when the time came to use it. Not now. Now it's way less than what the dollar should be, because you could have bought it a lot cheaper 4 or 5 months ago than what you can buy it now. Mm-hmm. Those are things that the average person doesn't consider. I'm not saying that there's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just the fact of the matter that call your local television station and say, what would it cost to run my ad for my tire shop? Oh, during the presidential election year? Probably a little bit more than what it would have cost you in April. When do people need tires? Probably in the presidential election year, in September, October, November. But you're going to pay for it, just like what we're going to pay for it. And if we would have been able to buy it earlier, it would have been a lot better off.
Yeah, and it's cheaper for us to buy it because there's no shipping, and then somebody having to mail it. Exactly. Wayne says, Chris, wouldn't it make sense to print things out that could help push our side and mail packages to willing and helpful houndsmen that could push the knowledge? That costs money. If you're that willing and helpful houndsman, then why don't you spend $20 and go print something out and pass it out? Right?
Yeah, there's and the other side of that too is, depending on who, when, why, what, where, and how, where would you strategically plan? And I'm second guessing here, but where would you strategically plan to say, no, I'm not sending those signs to? I don't need to send them to a houndsman in a little bitty town in southern Colorado. I need to send them to where somebody's going to be planting them in downtown Denver, in the neighborhood that they live in, that they actually support hunting, and there's a bunch of people in that neighborhood that don't know anything about it. You have to strategically plan that stuff where it's going to go, but the biggest deal just comes down to money, guys. I mean, it's not practical to turn around and send money on things that you get no benefit out of, like shipping or manufacturing of something, in hopes that it's going to go in the right geographical location.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing errors. I'm not seeing errors here, Wayne. I don't know. I'm not understanding what you're getting at as errors. There's media all over the place right now. You could go. He's saying, I mean, do you guys have an email package you could email to people, or is there?
You're missing. Nobody's listening. That stuff will be on the Wildlife Deserve Better website after we get the number. After we get the number, and after we get the language and the measure.
Exactly. There you go, Wayne. It'll be available. We just got to wait.
When it's available, then we can do something then.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We've been waiting since July 3rd when they turned the signatures in. July 3rd, they turned the signatures in. Everybody wanted to do something immediately. The signatures weren't certified until July 31st. Then from July 31st, you've got the draft analysis that's been going on since June 14th, which is the language that goes into the Blue Book. The Blue Book language has a first draft, a second draft, and a third draft. We've gone through all of that, but the third draft is due today, which then will be supplied by September 4th. Our side gets antsy and impatient, and they want to try to do something with what we don't have, but we're at the hands of the legitimate logistical system of what the government does or what the government doesn't do.
Wayne, there's no excuses here. We have to wait until we have a number. I don't understand why excuses. I don't know what you're mad about. I get it. You want to do something, but if you're going to go on vacation and you fill up your gas tank and you don't know where you're going, you're not going to drive around until you run out of gas. We don't even know the proposition number.
No, those are the things. I mean, I understand it's frustrating for the general public, but there's not anything that we can do until we have the number. Secretary of State has guidelines and timelines that they have to go by, but they can drag that out as long as they need to, or they can drag that out as long as what is necessary for the thing to actually happen and be able to get it, to be able to put it on the ballot. They can't have the Blue Book and they can't have the ballot done until all the stuff is actually done. And that's out of our control, and there's no sense in putting that information out until we actually have it and it's solidified.
I think me and Wayne are going to have to wrestle at the rendezvous. He's not saying it's too expensive. He's saying what would cost him $40 or $60, you could go do it for and get for the money it costs to ship, and you could go get twice as many signs instead of paying shipping.
That's the thing, and the labor on it. I mean, just theoretically, just the labor on it. If guys are questioning how money is spent and where it's going, if we had 300,000 signs sitting somewhere, look at the expense to be able to do it. It's not practical because we're not running multi-million-dollar, like $50, $60, $80, $100 million election campaigns. Different set of circumstances.
Well, it'd be a different story if you had $20 million in your account, because then you'd just be powering. There'd be a sign on every 50 feet.
Yeah, or you would see us on every single channel at every single minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the most that we can do is try to raise money and provide it so they can do what they can do, and then with our reach that we have, provide a grassroots effort to have people in Colorado tell their friends, tell another friend, say, hey, don't. This is a scam. This is a bad bill. It's not going to help anything, and that the state pays professionals, biologists, to determine what's right and what's wrong. We don't want these anti-hunters making the decisions over our wildlife. But that's just and a grassroots effort to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah, and it's a very go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the big differences here is we have somebody here that on the show that's been involved, that's, like you said, 90 hours a week, 80 hours a week. Hell, I'm getting ready to go to work for 48 hours a week, and I'm all pissy about that. So this guy's working 90 hours a week on this deal.
I'm retired.
So when you get involved like that, and somebody else like me, I'm not involved. You're doing all of that, and so I can say, well, I think you should do it like this, and I think you should do it like that. But I'm not there in the day-to-day doings, and I'm not there going here. I'm not going to the meetings. I'm not lobbying the legislature. I'm not doing any of that. And so it would be easy for me to draw a conclusion that, well, you're just not doing it right because you're not doing it how I would do it.
I think that's part of the issue that we deal with on many things, that it's easy to second guess when somebody doesn't know the full story or the circumstances. I'm not knocking anybody, but for instance, this week at the Parks and Wildlife Commission on Friday, there's a 2-hour discussion about the East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan. Now, with all due respect, some houndsmen have reservations about that plan. But there again, there hasn't been an East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan for over 20 years. It hasn't been revised since about 15, 20 years ago. So that's going to draw some attention. But if we lose this ballot, if we lose this election, there's no need to have an East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan, because management includes hunting. And so if the sportsmen and women showed up to the commission side, two separate sides of the government deal. You got the ballot, then the legislature, and then the commission. If the people showed up to talk about the East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan, and not just the opposition who doesn't want any mountain lion management or harvest, if they showed up, they could actually get their point across and probably help the conversation when it comes to sustainable management objectives and the logical minds of the agency who's trying to manage and the people that actually care about it, except for the antis that are just trying to stop it. That's just one piece of the puzzle, because the amount of meetings that we have, the amount of strategy that we have, the amount of input, you look at from the Sportsmen's Alliance to the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation to, the 30 different organizations that we have on a coalition called the Colorado Wildlife Conservation Project. We've got an all-day meeting with all those organizations on Wednesday, then 2 days of commission meetings, and then a legislative barbecue at the state fair on Friday. I'm not bitching or griping or complaining, but all of the conversations that go into that, while you're still waiting for numbers to be issued and certifications of language to be ratified or certified, you just look at the things that go into this. It's a lot easier to say you should do this or you shouldn't do that when so much of it is a wait and see approach, 30,000 foot elevation. You don't have any control over. You can't do what you can't do with the information you don't have, and until we have a number and until we have the actual language in the blue book, it's kind of hard to turn around and tell people what they should or shouldn't do, except for don't support ballot box biology, don't support the hunting ban, and don't support anything that's going to alter the management objectives and the management capability of the management agency in the state.
And that could be complicated for the general public instead of being able to just say vote no on blah blah blah.
Exactly. Yeah. But even if we said vote no on blah blah blah, and we say it for 2 weeks, and then we don't have any money to be able to do it after that. I mean, this is in theory. You don't have any money to be able to do that. Nobody's going to remember what you said on November 5th, what you said the first 2 weeks of September.
So you're saying we should wait until the last minute?
No, I'm saying you should wait until November or September 4th when we get the actual stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was saying.
What to do? Yeah.
And then you got 60 days to go full bore from the time you have that information until the time it comes to the ballot.
Yep.
I agree with Dan that people aren't gonna. If you piled it this week, if you took $1 million and put commercials on for 2 weeks from right now, 2 weeks, and in 6 weeks when you're at however long, you're not going to remember those.
Not the target. Not the target. We might, but we already know how we're going to vote now. We don't have to see any advertisements. We know what we're going to vote on.
But it's the general public that has to be top of mind to them, and they have to know what they're voting for or against, so they can push the right button, check the right box, do the right thing.
I don't second guess people that have questions about things. I mean, I don't think that anybody here is trying to be an armchair quarterback. What I think is they're not looking at all the avenues and all the pieces of the puzzle of what it takes to actually play the game with the big boys and play it appropriately, whether it's financially, whether it's strategically, whether it's legally, logistically, all the things that have to go into play And my football analogies sometimes fall on deaf ears, but I like football. But you got to have special teams, you got to have offense, defense, and you got to have a coaching staff, and you got to have a bench, backup players. And that's what we're formulating in all of this. But the playbook and the roadmap has not fully been written because we don't have the information from the government side to actually allow us to do so.
Do you have an idea what your strategic plan is going to be?
Yeah, expose and saturate as much as what we possibly can with the funds that are available.
How are you going to go about that? Commercials, billboards?
I mean, commercials, billboards, social media, print, whatever it takes. But understand, a significant amount of the general public, the target audience, is going to get all of their information from social media. I mean, do you know how many people in the Denver metro area don't have television, except for Hulu and Netflix and all the
local news channels?
YouTube, man, YouTube.
I mean, and that's a big part of it, but not necessarily a big part of it with that target audience. The target audience looks at a lot of things that guys our age and guys of our demographic don't. And so you have to hit it all, but you have to figure out when you need to hit it and where you need to hit it. I mean, there's specific algorithms and analytics that will allow us to be able to turn around and do that, to geofence those particular areas where it needs to be done. The polls indicate that, the polls that we've done, the polls that we will do, but you can only do so much with the money that you have. So you might want to do a bunch of other stuff, but if you can't afford to do it, you're not going to do it. And if you're trying to do it where you and I are going to watch it.
If you can't afford to do it, then that's when the grassroots effort has to come through.
Yeah. That, and you go football, but if you got a football owner who only wants to give you $1,000 to win the Super Bowl, somebody's buying their own shoes and equipment. So I think funding's 100% why you can't, like Wayne says, a lot of penetration, a lot of saturation.
That, speaking of geofencing, do you guys understand that geofencing?
As far as
that's the coolest thing. I go to breakfast with a guy who does advertisement, and he provides geofencing for different advertisers. Say you have a sporting goods company, and they put a geofence up around Sportsman's Warehouse. Everybody who walks within that geofence into Sportsman's Warehouse is your potential audience or is your potential customer, and they can target them through their phones. It's amazing how it works. I thought it was an invasion of privacy, honestly, when he was telling me about it. But so I walk down there, and then next time I'm on Facebook or whatever else in social media, I'll get an advertisement saying, "Hey, come to Paul's Sporting Goods." And the reason they know I'm one of their potential customers is because I went into Sportsman's Warehouse and they sell the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy.
It's a lot of information. What else do we got? What else do we have to get on? I think I've asked everything I need that everybody's asked me.
I mean, the biggest thing I would add to this is when we win, when we're victorious, the next thing we do is we don't sit on our laurels. We have a legislative session that comes up 2 months after the election. We've got a general commission that is not favorable to most of our stuff. You have to deal with them. There's opportunities for us to capitalize on the successes of a victory on November 5th. If we don't win, then I think all bets are off. Then everybody else better start getting their stuff together for their states, because if we don't win, they're going to capitalize on the efforts here, and I guarantee they're coming to Arizona and New Mexico and Utah and Texas and everywhere else to use the exact same playbook that they were successful on here. There's nobody that's put...
Do you guys, is it legal for foothold traps in Colorado?
No. They banned that in 1996.
Yeah, it's illegal here in New Mexico also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Arizona too. They just nick, little chops until that tree, the wind blows it down.
Yep. But I guarantee that if we win on November 5th, you're going to see some backpedaling from the opposition on so many different levels, because we would have cracked the egg. We would have cracked the code. we would have made them back up and spend millions of dollars on something that they lost. For the last 2 years of this gubernatorial's, this campaign that he's got, he's termed out in 2026. He'll be out of here in January of 27. There's going to be a lot of consternation on their side as opposed to our side. It'll be the first time in the Western United States that there's been a major defeat at multiple levels, especially if we win on the Denver ballots and the Colorado ballot. Then you set the tone, and then you set the narrative, and then we can be preemptive. Then we can make the strike. We can be proactive and progressive.
This is I'm a use football. This is when you pull your defense out and throw your offense in, right?
Yep.
Because
but you can't do that
I think nobody plays offense ever. Like, shouldn't Utah, Colorado, or Arizona, New Mexico, shouldn't they be like practicing their offense right now, getting ready, already getting money saved up? That way we're not in a situation where,
Yeah, I mean, take a page out of their playbook, how they do it. I mean, and
that's exactly what we're trying to build.
Exactly, yeah, and I mean, of course, it takes money, and
yeah, but see, it takes money all the time, and that's the thing that people, whether we win, lose, or draw, they need to realize what we did with the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management is we created a tool, and then we mechanized it, and then we became successful at it, and we had living representation and fundraising at the same time. On September 22nd of last year, when this ballot initiative dropped, within 3 days, we had the financial resources and the ability from a board of like-minded individuals to pull the trigger and hire the strategy team and hire the attorneys in a 3-day period to do what was necessary, to the tune of several $100,000. If organizations aren't prepared to do that, they will lose, they will falter, and they will fall flat on their freaking face. If nothing else, organizations throughout the Western United States better get their head out of the sand, and they better have enough money to where when the devil comes at the door, they can turn around and pay the appropriate people and appropriate measures to take what is necessary and hold up the flag. If you can't do that, and you know it's coming, you're going to lose. Period.
What do you have in Arizona as far as an organization that's similar to what Dan has, or Dan's working with?
There's nothing here in Arizona.
I don't think there's anything here in New Mexico either. Maybe
I started the Arizona Working Dogs Alliance, but I'm still getting it together. We have nothing. There's a guy that supposedly had a houndsman association, and I've been talking to the president of the Colorado Hound Association. I've talked to the Oklahoma guy, the Nevada. I've talked to all these people trying to suck in all the bylaws and information and basically what they're doing.
So you need to get together with Dan and find out their framework, and there you go, Chris. You got another job.
I already talked to them.
We want to have the ability. We want to have the ability November 6th to December 31st to finalize that playbook, and then turn around, and when Chris or somebody else calls us, whether they're calling out of Washington or wherever, it's not going to work 100% like it does here, every other state. But the framework, as you mentioned, Brett, will be there. The strategy will be there. The industry buy-in would have been there. The success from the other organizations would be there. The collaboration between like-minded groups across the country would be there. We've established that, and with the money that we've raised and the connections that we built and the collaboration that we have, anybody can turn around and take and plug and play and do what's right for their state, for what their reasons are. However, if they don't provide themselves with the opportunity to be successful before it comes, you can have the best playbook in the world, but you guys are going to find out when we win, we hand you the playbook and you go, well, how do we get the money to start?
Yeah.
If you don't have the money to start, you can't finish. And I guarantee that the way that these guys come at us, they're surprised as hell that we had the funding, the resources, and the intestinal fortitude and the foresight to be able to do what we did. I'm not just bragging about it. It's a fact.
So
we signed the papers. We had the lineup, and by the 6th of October, we were ready to go to court, and we were able to do that until the 31st of January. No matter what they threw at us, no matter what their options were, no matter what playbook that they came at, because we were prepared to do it. If you're not prepared to do that, this is all a moot point.
So you need to put together one of those, what'd you call it? C whatever. I don't know anything about this. So
501c4.
501c4 and start raising money as soon as you can. So you do have something in the coffers. When you get the playbook, you know what to do. Or you have the money to be able to start working at it.
Yep.
There you go.
If you do not have the C4 to be able to support yourself, if you do not have statewide lobbying representation, if you're not adamantly engaged at every single level with your commission and with your legislature, it's going to be harder for you to provide some sort of mechanism, a conduit or a toolbox or a path forward to get accomplished what you need to at a ballot. If you can't do it at the commission and you can't do it at the General Assembly, you will fall flat on your face when it comes to for the ballot because of the money that it takes to be able to do it. The other stuff is public process. You need money to do it. This is a public diabolical agenda to be able to turn around and take things from organizations and entities and the individuals in the community and the voters of the state because they think that it costs too much money. If you can't afford the other two, you can't survive here.
So what we need after September 4th is, the professionals that come up with talking points that is worded correctly to convince the general public that they should vote no against whatever ballot or whatever number it's going to be. But because you guys know me, I just call everybody dumbasses and make everybody mad. And
me daily.
I have a tendency to do that.
So I would like for somebody to say, here, this is what we found works. These are the words that you can use, because I can run a commercial. 15,000 people is 15,000 people. And maybe tell them to tell their friends, and you could reach a lot more people. And do what you can do. That's
you'll find that there's a level of receptiveness. You'll find that a lot of this resonates with our audience to make sure that they want to get engaged. And you're going to find a lot of guys that throw their hands up. It's too much work. They don't have enough time. They don't have enough vision. There's a different way to do it. I don't have a problem with any of that. But if there's somebody that's got a better roadmap out there than what we've been able to create in the last 11 months, I'd sure like to see it. If there's an easier path forward, I'd sure like to see it. Because what we've accumulated from the guys that we're working with, from the organizational industry guys, the organizational guys, the Howl for Wildlife guys. The people that knock them, they don't know them. The people that don't like the system don't understand it. The people that haven't worked with them don't fully comprehend it. You might knock the Sportsmen's Alliance. Hey, they're bellying up to the bar with a call to action. You might knock this Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, or a lot of people don't even know who the hell Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation is.
Never heard of it.
I never.
If you don't, then bad on you. If you don't,
how are we supposed to know about them?
You have to get engaged.
But where would we get engaged at to find out about them?
They're in every state. Every state legislature has a caucus for the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. Every state. If you haven't played at those levels, then you need to play at those levels. And
I don't totally agree with you. Bad on us. I think it's their job to make sure that they're known.
If you're not at the Capitol, you're not going to know it.
Well, no, most of us don't have time to go to the Capitol.
Yeah, this is where it goes back to people not having the time or don't want to get involved in politics or for some reason. And this is why you need the organizations, right or wrong. Somebody that does play on that level and somebody you do give $10 to.
And a lot of that is I say this often, guys. If you don't know your legislator who's making the decision on your behalf, or you put them there or not, then bad on you. If you don't know your commission, then bad on you. If you don't know the organizations that are fighting on your behalf with those legislators, then bad on you. That's not a criticism, Brett. It's just a fact.
Well, the congressman, you're saying some organization that, I know about the Sportsmen's Alliance. I know about Howl for Wildlife and those, but this other one you mentioned, I don't know anything about that. And I don't know why. I'm not involved in politics, but I mean, I've heard about all of them, but I haven't heard about that other one you talk about.
Right.
And I wouldn't know how do I go about, do I Google it, or how do I find out about them?
You can Google them, but the fact of the matter is they are active at every single state in the state legislative caucus that has a general assembly, that has a sportsman's caucus. We have the most in Colorado. We have in a state that where we're at now. We have the most prolific and most reputable caucus in the general assembly in the state of Colorado. And now that's a big statement in the state that does not have a favorable landscape when it comes to sportsmen and women issues. But my point is, Brett, that it's upon us to turn around and make sure we know as a community and as a society how all of this stuff works and who is either speaking or acting on our behalf or whether they're not.
Where do these people come from that make up this caucus? Who are they? Is it the legislatures?
It's the general assembly of each state, but then there's regional representatives from the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation that formulate those caucuses, but those caucuses have to have some interaction from the people, the people on the ground. I mean, I will send you guys an invite September 19th to the virtual Sportsmen's Caucus that we have, and it happens from noon until 1 o'clock. Well, we get 100, 150 people every month to get on there. It's an update. It's a education campaign that goes on for an hour over what's happening in the General Assembly, the legislature, maybe the commission. But it'll give you an idea of what we've done here in Colorado. And we have one of the most formidable caucuses in the country in a state that is not as favorable to our way of life and our liking. But it's not a criticism. It's a fact that it's up to us to make sure that we know who we deal with and the processes and procedures about legislation and about commission stuff. And in turn, where it comes into what we're dealing with right now on the ballot side. Because as I mentioned before in the conversation, it's a three-pronged approach, three legs to the stool, but the ballot, the General Assembly, and the commission. And the antis will use whatever one there's the weakest chink in the armor that they can capitalize on. And if we're not there to turn around and prop that up, they just take full advantage of everything that they possibly can.
I
gotta look into that then.
I mean,
we know now.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. We didn't know before. I didn't know.
All the Arizona stuff going on, 2017, 2020. I've been to all the commission meetings. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about it. But I wasn't interested in it. I went to the meetings. I did my thing.
Exactly.
And they went away.
Bad on you.
And like Blackbeard Kennel said, they'll be back. And they will be back. Just because they couldn't get enough signatures last time don't mean. And if they do pass in Colorado, they're going to have a head this big and say, we can do it to every state now.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question. And Cody King has asked me this before. If you can get signatures to vote it in, can't you get signatures to vote it out?
Possibly. If we got $1 million or $1.5 million to go get signatures.
And that's paying a group to come in.
How? Sorry to interrupt, but
no.
How does the antis? How do they access money from the government? How do they access public money? How do they get a hold of that?
The Equal Access to Justice Act, and that's where they get in there and they can. That's for the court system itself, but they get in there and they can utilize taxpayer dollars to fund things that are supposed to be in the best interest of the general public, even though they might not be, and they can get reimbursement for their legal expenses or court costs or anything else.
And you or an organization that is pro-hunting can't access that money?
We could if we went to court on it, but the kicker is we're in line with everybody else, and us to be able to use it while we're fighting all the stuff that we're fighting. I mean, you look at the resources that are available. You look at the Humane Society of the United States, for instance. I mean, look at their paid staff. Look how many people they have paid staff. They're generating $300 to $400 million a year. Look at their paid staff. Look at the people for ethical treatment of animals, paid staff. Wild Earth Guardians, paid staff. There's a place in Denver, Colorado, called the Alliance Center. It's at 1536 Wine Coop in downtown Denver. There's 15 or 18 different organizations, like-minded organizations. There's like 100 people in that building that turn around and freaking are paid staff. Our side does not typically have paid staff. And if we do, it's always in a knee-jerk deal to try to prevent something as opposed to try to be reactive or try to be proactive as opposed to reactive. And those are things that we've taken hunting and fishing and trapping for granted on so many different levels. And there again, not knocking the organizations, but if those organizations in our mind would have put some money historically into the fight over a 50-year period or a 40-year period or a 30-year period, they would have a strategy and a roadmap built up to where they could afford to do what they need to do for the fight, not just for conservation and hunting and fishing, but for the fight. 50 years ago, there was very few organizations that wanted to turn around and try to take anything away. There were some fringe groups. Now those fringe groups are juggernauts.
Oh yeah,
those fringe groups.
They have access to all those videos and pictures of poor animals in traps and lions falling out of trees and dogs chewing on bears and stuff that the average person looks at and thinks, oh, that's terrible, and a bunch of...
It's terrible. And that even brings it up more to where people like us need to make sure that we have some sort of engagement or representation in all three forms of that government: the commission level, the legislative level, and the ballot level. And the only way you're going to win is if you fight fire with fire, and the fire at this level is politically, and it's motivationally driven from emotion and money from the opposite side to stop every single thing that we possibly do.
The Howl for Wildlife guy, he keeps saying there's a C4 in Arizona forming right now, but how come nobody knows about it? I mean, why are we keeping that? Is it kind of being a hush-hush secret, or shouldn't you be kind of putting that out there so people join? Because I haven't heard about it. Get the current initiative off the ballot.
Oh, to get it. See, that's...
I think the question, Dan, was misinterpreted. We can collect signatures to get the current initiative off the ballot. It just doesn't work that way. It's not a who has more signature wins.
Yeah, you can't get the current one off, but I think that the way I interpret it was, you can change the system, you can change the process, but you can't just go get more signatures than the opposition. The system doesn't work that way. But if it's voted in, you could theoretically in 2026 come back and try to get signatures voted off and reverse it. But the likelihood of that happening is almost nil, not to mention the money that it would take to be able to do so.
To try to get that many signatures.
That and just the financial side of it. I mean, look, guys have talked about reversing the wolf deal. They talked about reversing the wolf deal. The wolf deal's in court right now, but they talked about reversing the wolf deal. Nobody's come up and said that they were going to do it. And if they did allude to that fact, they didn't have the money to try it.
Well, look, for instance, wasn't it 1994, somewhere around there, they brought the mountain lion back to the public to vote on in California, and they drove it just like you're saying. It was completely emotional driven, and the general public, the lions didn't affect them, and so they voted it in, and the law stood. They didn't get the lion, the level of protection back away from the tree huggers.
Well, wasn't it in the 70s here in New Mexico that a lion was put on the endangered species list, and there was no hunting of mountain lions or anything, and they got that reversed. I remember because I was talking to a rancher up there. He said, they said they were endangered. He said, and we trapped 17 of them right there on top of this hill.
Well, I just know that my point was whenever something becomes law, and something that is so controversial for the people that live downtown, once it becomes law, the protection of that species to whatever means, you can bring it back before the public, but it's a rare occasion that the public votes against the law that stands.
Oh.
Yeah. And depending on if it's a constitutional amendment or just an initiative. I mean, we had a constitutional amendment back in 1996, which is the banning of trapping in the state. And we still have cage traps, and we can still use foothold traps or body gripping devices or cable restraint devices on private property with a 30-day exemption permit for human health and safety, protection of private property, or agriculture depredation. The Initiative 10 that was done on bears in 1992, that could be reversed by the legislature and or by the vote of the people, but it's not been favorable enough to get it to that level, so nobody's ever tried to follow up with it. The wolf deal in 2020 is something similar to, like I say, people have alluded to the fact that they would like to try to reverse it. There's been no solid evidence that they could, nor could they get the money to be able to do so. If this vote here on the lions and bobcats was to go through, the General Assembly could come back and override the public, or the public could turn around and re-vote on it if somebody wanted to try to get the signatures and spend money to get it on the ballot. None of those have been very favorable anywhere in the country to try to reverse something once the voters got it in. Occasionally, but not very often. But in the Western United States, I'm not aware of anything that's been reversed.
Yeah.
Dan, been full of information, and I think you were only supposed to be on for an hour, and it's like 9 o'clock where you are.
Yeah, it's 8 here, but no. And the kicker is, I appreciate the conversation with you guys, but understand that this whole process and everything that we've done since the beginning, since its inception, it's a moving target. You have to be adaptable. You have to call an audible. You got to be able to modify your strategy, because the opposition is doing the exact same thing. Everything that happened in a 4-month period of time with the Colorado Secretary of State, Supreme Court, and the title board through the court system, it's something that we had to figure out a way to, what are we going to do if they do this? And then when they did that, what are we going to have to do? Then you got to have money for this. But all of that money goes into a pot to turn around and keep you moving forward while you're still turning around and trying to educate our side, maybe talk to the general public, but educate our side and still keep fundraising for the need to be able to turn around and get to a level of where we're at now. If we didn't have what we had starting at the beginning in September and October, we would not even be in existence at this point in time. We would not have the ability, because we wouldn't have the ability to fundraise, to message, to outreach, the strategy, the logistics. You wouldn't have any of it. And so we have 78 days left in the campaign after an 11-month onslaught of what we've dealt with, where we have beat them on every single level except where they got the signatures and turned in the signatures. We've not lost with them yet on anything else.
So I think that's where everybody's confused, because they're like, oh, my God, they only needed 140 signatures. They got 188. They're going to destroy us. But I'm going to also tell you this. Those signature gatherers are so effing annoying that you just sign something sometimes, and they won't even show you. They just bug you. That's why they hire them, because they're annoying. And you're like, here, and they send it away. They send them away. Don't mean they're going to vote for it, And I do like the optimism. And you're right; it could go any way. Well, still, I think people they get scared and they get frustrated, like Wayne. No, Wayne, I'm not going to beat you up because you're an old man. But I feel like people do get frustrated, and they do see those big numbers.
I think we do, because we're trying to figure out what we can do. What we can do to help. And like me, I don't know. I honestly didn't. I don't know how the politics works and everything. And this has been a hell of an education for me. I've learned a lot.
And we found out about the caucus, the legislative thing. I
got it. It's your fault. It's your fault, Chris.
Yep. You're stupid, Brett.
I think if you guys will put a message out between now and the 4th or thereabouts, real close to that, indicating that people need to educate themselves about the benefits of science-based wildlife management, the North American model of wildlife conservation. Look, that's another thing. A lot of us talk about it. The average guy can't cite 2 of the tenets in the model, let alone turn around and cite all 7. So they reference it, but they don't know what it actually is. There's a government component in there that they should pay attention to, because the North American model does not get rid of government management. It actually enhances government oversight by the people. the licensing structure. But if you guys over the next 2.5 weeks, could talk about the ballot box biology, don't support it, to talk about don't support the hunting ban, to talk about support the North American model, to support science-based wildlife management, in a very short period of time, in and around there or shortly after, you're going to see on the Wildlife Deserve Better website an informational page that anybody can utilize to take those videos or the graphics or the emails or whatever to be able to utilize as a toolbox. Now, it's not going to solve everything. People have to be able to utilize it, and they got to be able to figure out a way to function it and then do something with it. But that will be something that every single organization, entity, small group, houndsman association, or whatever can utilize to their benefit to help our fight. But in the meantime, there's still got to be fundraising. There's still got to be ongoing messaging amongst our community, and there has to be this resolve that this isn't a doomsday deal, that we can actually fight through it. And if we win, just think of the benefit that everybody in the sporting community gets off of it. If we lose, and the ones that didn't get involved and didn't use the playbook and didn't use the roadmap and didn't donate and didn't message and didn't talk to anybody, if we lose and they didn't do anything, they were just part of the problem. We don't want anybody to be part of the problem. We want everybody to try to be part of the solution.
Absolutely.
I want a professional made commercial that I can run myself. And if you have that on your website after September 4th, that I can download, yep, and I can use it, then that would be great.
Do you want pretty girls or Tom Selleck in it? Because I can't make specificities to that.
Cleavage. We need cleavage.
And not Vinny.
Preferably cleavage without hair on it.
Yeah. So I know what direction you guys are going with that. I just want to make sure that the campaign strategist fully understands what the guys in Arizona and New Mexico want. So
no, but I'm serious.
Cody said their primary gathering locations were pride events, vegan festivals, and libraries. And probably a lot of those people probably ain't going to make it to vote, honestly. I mean, you cross your fingers and hope.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we know that will vote. There's a lot of people that we assume that won't. And there's
that's where the balance comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you stop and think about this, real quick, and I'm going to have to jump, but the 188,000 signatures that were gathered, they needed 124,238. That's what they needed. They gathered 188, but they only certified roughly 140. So there was 48,000 that they got that weren't even valid. Now, were those false signatures? I mean, you stop and think that, there's 35% or whatever the heck it was that weren't even valid. Stop and think about those numbers when it comes to people going to the polls, or in the Colorado's case, where we just have mail-in ballots. They didn't turn in 188,000 signatures that worked. They only turned in 140. So to my
certified.
Analogy about the 10% on the front, the 10% on the back, pro-hunting, anti-hunting, that 80% in the middle, we just need 41 of that 80. That's all we need. So with that, I'll leave it to you guys, and I'll be more than happy to come in at another point. And we'd love you guys to be able to pay attention. Follow Wildlife Deserve Better, the Issues Committee. Follow SaveTheHuntColorado.com. Make sure that you follow both of those, because the similar message, different audience, different timeline. Follow us on Instagram at c.r.w.m. Follow us on Facebook. Follow the Howl for Wildlife guys. They're helping tremendously and engaging through this process. And look up the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, and I think you'll be mesmerized by the amount of information that.
I feel like that was you guys are brainwashed.
He threw a big rock at us right there.
Hey, that's education, and we'll do our best to spread the word and look at it, and we'll keep trying to make you money. I think we're over $15,000 that we've raised you in the last 7 days since last Monday.
Well, it's going to go to a good cause, because it takes millions of dollars to do this. But if everybody could come up with 15 grand for every cause that they did, this would be an easy fight. We appreciate everybody's input, whether it's $5 or $50 or $20 or $100 or $1,000, but it takes all of it from every single state to turn around and pull this off, because they're not just waiting for Colorado to fall. They're hoping that Colorado is going to fall so they can go to another state.
Yeah. Just got to play that offense. Dan,
thank you for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thanks Come back
anytime you have a Monday night and you want to just jump on, just holler at Chris or me, and you're more than welcome.
As long as we stay away from the hairy cleavage and the spears, I'm good to go.
We'll make sure Benny keeps his clothes on.
We got a cartoon we can cover him up with. It's all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for your time, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Whoop. Which one is that? That's Sportsman's Alliance. I thought I had one of Howl for Wildlife in here somewhere. Yeah, I think you can do the same thing, Chris. Is instead of YouTube running advertisements on any of your videos, put up one of their videos. Yeah. Plug it in as an advertisement.
Well, Howl for Wildlife said you will be blown away by the videos that will come out. So I'm sure they have something in plan, and I know Wayne just gets crazy, and he's not.
He's trying to help. He really is trying to help.
You know, and I get it too, because I've had those emails saying, where's this money going? And just because Dan had dinner with somebody, that stuff has to happen.
Let me tell you something
this hobnobbing has to happen.
Let me tell you something about Wayne. I think he has some kind of expertise in advertisement, because he sent me a big long thing wanting to run advertisement deal for me, and I've never really got back to him. And so I think that's I'm making an excuse for him, but
no, it's and I guess we'll find out. So we'll find. He's going the young. So
no, I mean,
I'll see him.
I mean, how many emails do you get people wanting this or that? So it's kind of hard to. But I guess when you meet him in person, no.
I get emails from Howl for Wildlife all the time.
Yeah.
Sportsman's Alliance. I guess I got 2 email addresses with Sportsman's Alliance, because I get 2 of those every day.
Yeah. And we'll be all right. We'll be all right at the rendezvous. I'm not worried about Wayne at all. I don't care how old and experienced he is. No, he's just passionate because he's from Washington.
Court's wanting to know.
He said yeah.
I bet.
He said he watched it take his own state, so he's passionate.
I'll bet you Cody King's Starlink isn't working in Africa. I'll bet you anything, because I haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. Hold the fort down for a second.
No.
As many of those Starlink deals that I've seen in Arizona and New Mexico, I don't think there's any of them trailing around the skies in Africa.
Maybe not. I mean, who knows? As long as he tried. What do you think of all this, Benny?
I think
you think Colorado's going to pull it off? I mean, he does make sense.
He's exactly right that if they lose, we all lose.
Yeah.
Because right now New Mexico is as liberal lion hunting as they've been. I've been here 35 years, and this is the most liberal they've had their lion hunting seasons. Arizona used to be easy, real easy, and now they're under attack. They've been under attack for probably 15 years, and the general public doesn't know the extent of the attacks. Texas, of all places, where the mountain lion is not a protected species, has started to become under attack.
Yeah, because they feel they don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, and who would have thought that Austin and Dallas and Houston could tell the rest of the state what to do with their varmints?
Yep. Wayne, I think the best thing you can do right now until we get all the verbiage right is share. Go to c.r.w, what is it, m.m, crwm with dots in between them all. And I always forget about Instagram because I'm not a big Instagram junkie, but they do have a lot of stuff on Instagram. I've started to share it, and I think social media is just 75% of how things get out anymore. There is no newspapers. I haven't watched regular TV in 15 years. We used to have an antenna on my house and watch the news. Now it's all satellite, So I think the best way you get commercials or ads is on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. So I think the best thing you can do to volunteer your time and effort is share everything you can, because there's still people that are like, what's going on in Colorado? I mean, I didn't really know what's going on. I don't care about Colorado. I'm over here in Arizona minding my own business. I don't know what's going on in Nevada. I don't know what's going on in Texas. I don't know about no damn legislature. He made me feel kind of stupid because we probably should know that stuff.
And then he threw a rock at us and said, it's your fault.
And honestly,
so how can it be my fault? How am I supposed to know about it? I guess from his perspective is he's involved in it. I mean, he's there.
Well,
he's involved in politics. Most of us go through our life and, they tell us to go vote, and we vote the way we think's right, and we don't ever get involved in any of that crap, or I don't.
Yeah.
Well, and Brett, along those lines, you're right. Most of us, we'd rather be out in the woods running our dogs. So when there is somebody like him at that level that's that involved, I don't give a rip what it takes. Support him. He's fighting for us.
I think we need to get Chris to take over to do that. You go and become an apprentice to Dan Gates. You have the right temperament for it. You could do it. I'll support you.
I don't know about temperament.
Well, I know I don't have the right temperament for it.
I know you were getting mad. You were getting mad because he's like, "You're the problem. You don't know about it."
How am I supposed to know?
But it's like anything else. I don't know. What's that?
I was just saying, sure, that's just because he's living this fight at that level in that place, and Brett's living this fight completely different from the back of his mule talking to the public on a camera.
Well, no, what the thing that frustrated me a little bit is, I have limited resources. I'm not, Cody King, or I'm not, Elon Musk. I don't have those kind of funds to just, give money and everything. But what I do have is I have a big audience on my other channel. And if I know the correct things to say, or I have a commercial they pay me to run commercials on my channel, and they pay me very well because I have a big audience. And I don't have a Mr. Beast audience, but I have a big audience.
But you have 15,000 people in Colorado and he just said that
in 28 days.
The wolf reintroduction in Colorado was a difference of 33,000 votes. So who's to say that you don't do a 500,000 view video, and you get on there and say, listen, guys, you guys from Colorado, which it might be 30,000 this time, pay attention, because you don't understand how much money it's going to cost you if you guys get rid of that lion hunting. How much money it's going to cost you? Here's what's going to this.
I've got the commercial formulated in my head. If I could have a professional commercial, one that has cleavage and someone explaining it in better words than I have, but what I can do is leverage my audience in such a way, because I don't ever on my channel, I don't say, hey, subscribe to this, buy that. I don't do that. I provide content. I make content that people like to see, or my people like to see, and that's what I do. But what I can do is say, guys, this is something that's very important to me. It's very dear to my heart, and it's going on in Colorado, and we're afraid that it's going to come to other states. And when I know the ballot, we need you to vote no on this. And if you guys are not in Colorado, but you have friends, relatives, or that do live in Colorado, please. I mean, I almost got 1 million views last month. So a lot of those people know people who are in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And say, so if you people have relatives or friends that live in Colorado, if you would contact them and ask them to vote no or whatever it's going to be on that deal. And here, watch this video right here that they put together, so you'll have a better idea of what this is all about. And then some professional that has all the right words to say, then they can say it. And that reach, that's that grassroots. You do the same thing, Chris. And Benny, just be Benny.
Just show your spear. That's enough.
But I mean, that's something that I can do to help. And that's what I was getting at. What, all that other, I mean, all that other stuff, I'll give what I can afford. I gave to Sportsman's Alliance, but I think that's me doing that is worth. I mean, is worth as much as I can give. Is you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it may be the straw that broke the camel's back to save it. You know what I mean?
Well, I would hope that it would have some kind of influence. After all, they do call us influencers.
Yep.
So that's what I can do, and that's what I want to do. That's why I was asking him, and I wanted him to understand that we do have an audience and we do have a footprint that could be somewhat helpful. And you're not asking them for money. You're just asking them to vote a certain way.
Yeah,
it's not going to cost you nothing.
Pay.
If you can afford to send some money, please do. But if you can't, tell your friends what's going on and to vote this way.
Yeah, like Dan said, $10 is $10.
You're asking them to vote with an education.
Yeah, educate them. Have that, whatever that professional commercial is that they have. I mean, and then say, watch this big-breasted lady tell you what the things are.
She'll show you your boobies if you vote this way.
No, but watch this. This is a very good. This explains it better than I ever could. So watch this. Or if you have talking points that you can slip into your video in different places.
I believe if they win, if Colorado gets out of this, and they keep their lions, I'm hoping people will realize, holy shit, that was close. It's kind of like, you don't wear your seatbelt and some guy almost gives you head on into you and you're like, oh, shoot, man, I would have stuck. I didn't have my seatbelt on. So you start wearing your seatbelt. And I hope other people, and I need the Howl for Wildlife guy to email me. So I want to find out about who he's talking about in Arizona. So anecdote of a houndsman at outlook.com. But if there's something going on in Arizona, nobody knows about it. I don't know about it. I registered a name, the ADWA, to start somebody because I couldn't get nobody to want to do anything.
You need to get in, Chris. You're good at this kind of stuff. You need to get involved. You're good at it. People like to talk to you. Nobody ever talks to me.
Vote. It's my cigar holder.
What's that?
You pull your head like a turtle.
I'm afraid what I'll say.
You've never been afraid of what you'll say.
Oh, well, I mean, I'd be afraid of what I would say that could affect a large number of people. I don't mind telling someone they're an idiot to their face, but if I say something that would affect a large group of people, that would probably hurt my feelings a little bit.
Well, Chris is an introvert and you're an introvert.
Man, I don't like people. I'm not.
And you're a pervert.
Everybody's a vert sooner or later. I think. Look, he looked around looking for his wife.
His wife's about to come in there and say, "You don't know anything, guys. You have no idea."
No, I think Dan's doing a good job.
Super
I think
good.
There's always going to be questions. You know, it did get brought up to me about the two organizations and how the one organization spends 100% of the money on advertising, social media, everything. You know, Dan's organization, the Save the Hunt Colorado, he has to hobnob. So some of that money is going to go to a dinner. Some of that money is going to go to some gas, a hotel. But you have to have that. Oh, damn it. I knew Sonny was going to do that. Did you use nickel rods on cast iron? Nickel rods, you just heat that up to about 450 degrees.
Sonny and his
then weld it.
This is not a welding podcast.
Oh, that's going to become a segment now.
We're going to have to start another show.
Yeah. Welding with Benny. Ask now.
NICAD. It's called NICAD 55.
There you go. There you go, Sonny. Send that $10. SaveBenny.com.
Send that $10 to the Colorado fight, and it'll be matched.
And we're still matching. We're at $15,000. We're over. It's like $7,600 something. That's how much money. And I'm Buddy from W Supply.
W Hunting Supply.
Yep.
That's where you get all your hound hunting paraphernalia.
Yep. We've had $500 donation. We had a $3,500 donation. And I feel embarrassed because I know the guy. I've met him at commission meetings. His name's Tim, and that's all I know. I don't know his last name, you know, but his buddy said, here's Tim's 35. It was actually $36.50. So we're close to that $10,000 double. So if you guys know or share or go to my Facebook, share that Save the Hunt Colorado, because your $10 turns to $20. That $3,500 turned to $7,000.
Seems like the other guys that was on here have went different ways and stopped making videos altogether. Oh, George?
Okay, yeah, well, George, Nick's busy. Nick's busy doing stuff. I just talked to Nick today. So just see what's up. I like Nick. Nick's actually been working on his book. He did his audio for his book. And if you go to the Chris Watson Project, I'm about to post one of our earlier sections with him when he was on. I was talking to him and George. So, yeah.
Chris, where do you want them to donate so that they can go to the matching funds? How do they do that? SaveTheHuntColorado.com. Take a screenshot. Either Facebook me message, which a lot of people do, or anecdote of a houndsman at outlook.com. Just send me a screenshot. I already got with the donor, and he said that's absolutely fine. So I save them. I put them in I got a little Excel sheet that I'm keeping track of. So we're at like 76. We're just at $7,600, somewhere around there.
Cool.
Gosh, damn it, Ryan! Don't jump in on that welding crap. Kick Ryan off. 718 will weld cast it. Yeah, if you heat it up to 450 degrees, right? You have to heat that cast up, don't you?
Yes, but not for 7018. But we're not going there.
Oh,
Benny has his
7018 is what everybody has in their bucket. They're not buying that nickel stuff. So, anyways.
Well, yeah, don't get started on welding tonight.
Look at Wade. Make sure you like the taste of those. These aren't brass knuckles. This is a legal thing that holds my cigar on my desk. That's what I tell the cops every time they search me.
What else do we got, guys? Let me light my cigar again.
Where are y'all saying to donate? SaveTheHuntColorado.com. Save the Hunt Colorado. If you go to any of my Facebook pages, and I got a bunch of them, you can click on that. SaveTheHuntColorado.com. I would say the other one, but I don't remember the name of it. You can also donate to the
Wildlife
WildlifeDeservesBetter.com. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wildlife Deserve Better. Yeah.
I'm going right now. It is. Yeah, WildlifeDeserveBetter.com. No plurals. WildlifeDeserveBetter.com. You donate there and send me a screenshot. It's the same. In his hood.
A pup that what? Does anybody remember the name of that dog that sold at for 17?
Oh, I don't.
17.8. I can make a phone call and find out.
Yeah, find out what the name of that dog is.
Benny carries his hood in his back pocket. Look at that. Now it's a welding show.
He's got his hood hanging out the back too.
There you go.
Brings back bad memories, Benny.
Yeah. Yeah, he was he was on the Little Rascals, Porky. What was it, Little Rascals kid?
You damn pipeline.
Any questions?
You dang pipeline welders used to cost me a lot of money. Wayne Bisbee.
like my brother. Oh, I can't wait to hang out with Wayne this weekend.
It's this weekend, isn't it? My gosh.
It is this weekend, I know. And I'm off my job. I cleaned my trailer out today. I'm almost free.
Is that it?
That's it.
Welder.
That is it, August 24th. And if you go to azhhr.com, I got maps on there. And yes, I called it Arizona Hound Hunters because
I had to correct
Arizona, and I did it. Brett got all mad at me.
You just think I got mad. I was just correcting you.
I explained to him that the only good line hunters are in Arizona, so that's why I called it the Arizona line. And he said, well, I guess I ain't got to go then. I'm like, son of a gun.
Man,
So what time are we supposed to get there, Brett?
Friday.
I'm not hot-headed. I'm going down Thursday. Dang it, what's his name?
Casey
said I could stay at his corrals and go hunt Friday. We might be able to get into there Friday. If we can, I'm going to go hog it up. But I'm probably going to go hunting Friday, go to the rendezvous Saturday, and then try to find my dog Sunday.
my wife is going with me to keep me on the straight and narrow, so I know.
So Friday, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to try to go down Friday afternoon. I got to wind almost blew my rooftop tent off the other day, so I got to pop it and try to get it fixed. And
I know a guy lives in Texas. He can fix it for you.
And Friday, but I didn't plan on going over there till Saturday.
Just leave early, Benny. Early.
Well, I don't think they're going to have dinner till late because they're afraid like 6 or 7 because people are going to be hunting probably. So, and they were trying to say we couldn't get in there till 11 on Saturday because of some campground lady. I don't know. Not Diane. But,
we can't even get in there until 11 on Saturday?
Well, that's what they're trying to say. It's kind of like they do this. We'll be able to get in there early, but we might be able to get in there Friday.
I hope. Where am I going to camp? Is there a lot of different camping places around there?
Oh, it's right in the middle of forest, and his corrals are like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm bringing my mule. I don't know if I have one 10-year-old coming. Everybody was going to come, but I think they're going somewhere else. It's just going to be me and Cody Lynn, and I want to bring my mules down.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to bring my buggy.
Close enough to a mule.
Me and my wife can just ride around. That's it.
That
I'll
way
have those 3 pups with me.
That way I can make fun of that box that don't have no lights on it.
No lights, and it might fall off because all the mounting hardware was wrong. And it took me a year to get it. Thank you, Old South Dog Boxes.
I know a good welder, huh, Sonny? Can you come weld that for Brett?
Yeah, bring your 7018.
Bring your nickel rod. It's aluminum. What do you weld aluminum with?
Heliarc.
Oh.
I haven't. Smoky Mountain Bear Hunter asked if I've talked to Van a couple times. Here about 2 years ago, we barely missed making connections. And he was going one way, I was going the other way. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. But I think Houndsman XP, they sat down and talked to him. They interviewed him. So I bet it's a good one.
Well, maybe he wants to come on a good one. I'm just kidding, Chris. No, I mean, I just think
you got to humor him a little bit.
I just think that outlaws are better than undercover game warden is all.
Undercover, he's overcover, whatever.
Oh yeah, I said the GW word, and it's not game warden no more. It's wildlife managers in Arizona.
Here, let me see. See.
Joe Hott. So there's going to be a couple old hounds in there. Joe Hott is going to be at the rendezvous, sitting around the campfire, telling some stories. And I know Joe Hott. I've hunted with him. Good old man. He's like 86 years old out there running around like he's 20 years old chasing lion.
Watch this.
What about his son? There?
Destry?
Is Lonnie going to be there?
Oh, I don't know about Lonnie. I know Destry's kind of incapacitated at the time. I don't think he's going to be free for a while.
Yeah.
So, I hunted with Destry. He was a good kid too. He came out of some hard times and found Jesus and was out there helping us catch lions for cancer kids. And that guy rode the biggest horse I ever seen and rode off into the dark and said, "I'm just going to keep going. I'll let you know if I catch him." I'm like, gosh, dang.
There's the link to the Van Johnson interview on Houndsman XP.
There you go.
So there's my plug for the Houndsman XP podcast.
There you go, Chris. We don't always just talk crap about you. We support you. They never share nothing about us. They don't even talk crap about us. That kind of hurts my feelings.
It don't bother me. You see how many views we get.
It's because of Benny.
Benny's hairy cleavage.
Because of my...
What else we got going on? I don't know if I'm going to do a show Wednesday, guys. If I make it to my house before 5, I'm done. I'm done with my job. I pulled out today. I got...
Chris, the show must go on.
It will. I'll try.
I'll come on Wednesday. I'll come on with you.
If I make it up to the mountain, I got to go tomorrow, pick up some stuff with the trailer. I got to figure out if I can pick up Benny's razor. If I do, it'll probably be Wednesday, and then I'll just head up. Will you be able to have a fire? Yes, I'm always able to have a fire no matter what.
I need to know if you're going to do that so that I can make arrangements. And I've got to bring a trailer with me, and I'm leaving Thursday morning.
All right. Are you coming through Sholo?
I am.
On the way down? You could just drop a trailer at my house. Oh, yeah. I'm taking a trailer down. So you could pick it up on the way down.
Huh?
You could pick it up on the way down. I'm headed down Thursday.
Wayne says Chris is easy to talk to. Does that mean I'm hard to talk to?
Well,
how come
idiots? And if you're easy or hard, we just talk to you.
It's all right.
I have nothing else better to do. What else we got going on? Anything else going? Got the rendezvous going on?
Nope.
Bring some cash. I might make some tamales and sell them just so I can give Colorado some more money.
I'll bring merch. I'm gonna bring my Born 100 Years Too Late cups, and then I got these really neat water bottles. My regular cups. I got now they're not as good as Chris's cups, but they don't have that character. And then I got some really neat water bottles, and they work really good. I don't have one in here.
And we're going. Max Nichols and Jared Nichols donated a 5-year-old, I think it's 5-year-old, riding mule. And we're going to probably silent auction that as long as we can. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to probably throw a first bid out because this mule rides. Little 14
I seen the video. He rides really good.
Damn, can you play that or no?
I can do a screen share. Where's it at? Yeah. Oh, I can't. No, you sent it to me. I got it. Hold on.
Someone's donating a mule so we can raffle off, and we'll probably just do a silent auction. In there that you can bid right there, and they'll say the highest bid's 20.
All right, so we got Mac here. He's a 13-year-old John mule, 14 hands. He's good with his ears. He's just a real nice mule. Got a good back on him. Your saddle sits nice. You know, you can ride him out by himself if you trailer him by himself, but if you ride in a group, he prefers to be with his buddies. But he ain't gonna do nothing wrong with you. He's gonna take you there and get you back. Go ahead and slide off of him. Turn around. Rub his ears. Been around hounds, hogs. You know, he came out of Oklahoma originally, and he's been sitting about 30 days now. Today's the first day I've swung the load.
Fire ban. I just got a text that said there's no fire ban, and I kind of knew there wasn't, but so we'll be able to have a fire. So you guys will now be able to see Benny dance around the fire in his Speedo. And the last act is amazing because he catches fire.
It burns all the hair off his butt. Well,
the Burning Man.
We're gonna go live too. We'll go live while we're there.
Yeah.
We'll have our
I think we can do that in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock before dinner.
And then we'll have everybody who shows up. They can come by and go live with us, and they can. We'll have an interview of whoever shows up. We'll get Wayne Bisbee on there. Let him rip on Chris for a little while.
Hurt my feelings.
Hey, Chris, one more time. What's the email to send the copy of the donation receipt?
Anecdote of a houndsman at outlook.com. Outlook.com. Anecdote of a houndsman.
Hold on.
Outlook, or you can just find me on Facebook. You can look for Anecdote of a Houndsman or Chris Watson, and then just message me a screenshot. I just need the screenshot. Make sure I can see like the date and the name so I can write your name down. Because some people they're on here like let's just say Sonny Passmore, and I'll get the screenshot and it'll be like Sonny Williams. I'm like, holy, what's your real name? So I just write down the name they donated in. Anecdote of a Houndsman at outlook.com. And I will be making videos again soon for that and the Farrell family. Because I'm hoping to be up on the mountain.
Just lazy.
Money, working.
Yeah, I hate this.
So, yeah, why are you going back to work? Wife got sick of you, kicked you out of the house, didn't she?
I've been laying around for 8 months.
Benny likes to have a pocket full of money, so he knows he's got to go work to get a pocket full of money.
Yep.
And then when I get a pocket full of money, I'm going to hit the road again.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna go to Wisconsin, and I'm gonna go get some fresh cheese curds, and I'm gonna go to Arizona and hunt with John Klump, and I might even hunt with Steve Smith this year. I don't know.
Is this your 48 hours of working?
Are you going to invite me, moi?
Well, where do you want to go? Do you want to go get some cheese curds?
No, I want to go hunt with Steve and John. I don't care.
Come on,
I don't care about no cheese curds.
See what I said just now? Sonny Passmore? My name is Levi. Where the hell do you get Sonny Passmore out of Levi?
He's incognito.
Yep, undercover. There you go, Benny, right there.
He's the undercover. He's I
got accused again yesterday. No, today. Yesterday for being undercover again. I joke around. He goes, maybe you're just joking around about it. To think I'm joking around about it, but you're not really joking around about it. So,
a lot of that reverse psychology.
Yeah, just be careful hunting around me. Never know. So, what else? So we got dogs. We're going to try to give away. Brett's going to donate a dog. Probably do a little auction. We got a mule. We'll probably do a silent auction on.
I'm bringing you a pup too, Chris.
Yep.
And he is my favorite one too. He is a really, really neat dog.
I'll probably make some egg burritos Sunday morning, and I'll probably make you guys donate to get one. That way I can send money. I'm going to sell some of my cups. And I got some ledged out whiskey.
Hey, where did the money go for that? Did it go straight to Colorado, or did it go Sportsman's Alliance?
No, it went to Colorado, but after all the proceeds,
all the cost of doing it
cost. Yeah, and I want to say I seen a post that said 3,000, then I seen a post that said we made 5,000 to send.
That's good.
Yeah, every dollar counts. So, and I'm really, so here's what I need to bring up too, and this is probably going to be on W this week, because they want to really put it on because of Dan Gates and after we just sent them Naomi's, but man, I thought too much. I forgot what I was going to say already. Damn it. ADHD.
No,
man.
Don't look at me.
What was I going to say? It was about well, anyways.
What'd you say?
Anyway, I'm going to try. What's that?
I said you should give him some of that green Kool-Aid from Klump.
Oh man, I probably
I'll talk to you guys about that later on. There's something. It wasn't the green Kool-Aid.
It was something, just not the green Kool-Aid.
No, it's kind of I don't want to make it public.
Sonny, he's cool but forgotten. It's complicated. Oh, Sonny has a story.
That's what this channel is about. Stories.
Yep. Oh, that's what I was going to is I was told by some people in Colorado to make sure that people know that it's the houndsman that has helped us out on our part raising money, because I guess there's kind of a little rumor argument type thing going on saying that the houndsmen are lazy and don't do nothing. So every bit of this money that we've raised so far is 99% houndsmen.
Yeah.
So if you're a houndsman and you need to and don't stop donating. Don't stop. This is where I always try to, Dan keeps saying, or those guys say, oh, we're going to stop, but I really believe we need a national level association that does nothing but go state to state and just beat the shit out of these antis. That's what I think.
There you go, Chris. That could be your job. That's what you need to do. Not me.
All over.
Not me. Well, that's what, that's what I thought with my Born 100 Years Too Late channel. I thought, well, I could put up a donate button, or I could do a GoFundMe, and Chris talked me out of that, or I could say donate to my PayPal or whatever. But every time you do something like that, they take a percentage out of it. The one thing I do have is my advertising ability, my influence ability. And believe it or not, guys, I mean, I get paid for doing that. I mean, YouTube pays me pretty good to run advertisements on my videos. So so the way I look at it is, if I do my own advertisement for them and run their stuff on there, that has some value to it. So it's the way I see it.
And I'm excited to meet all these guys from Tennessee and Louisiana, and we got someone coming down from Colorado. So, yep, going to be a fun time. And Chris
is there anybody coming from California?
Hey, be nice to those guys, because we might be able to go bear hunt over there and whack all their bears like they did in Arizona.
I apologize for
that.
that.
National Organization for Houndsmen is essential.
Tim's supposed to come, isn't he?
No, he's a puss.
Tim Brink?
Yeah. He don't need to come learn how the real houndsmen do it. There's no snow here. I think he was driving. He hadn't been on here too much. Said he was driving. Other than that, there's our 3 hours. You can go to azhhr.com for directions for the rendezvous. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me about the dinners. That's this weekend. If that's what you're asking, How for Wildlife guy. And I don't think, I'm going to ask her, because I've already had like 5-6 people say dinner. You guys quit procrastinating. Procrastinating sons of B words. So I got to call Diane. She said she was going to buy extra. I need to see how much extra, because now it's not letting you buy the dinners now. But she did say she's going to buy extra. I don't know how much it's going to be. So maybe she'll have extras. I think we said they were going to end it on the 15th, and she really did. So I'll call her and see if she can't pick up a few more. I know she was going to have a little extra. And I think I'm the only guy who bought a kid's dinner, but I kind of regret that, because he's probably going to eat my steak, and I'll have to eat macaroni and cheese or something. So other than that,
I bought a wife's dinner.
Yep. Dinner will probably be about 6 or 7. It's all you yahoos that are trying to hunt out there. And by then, everybody be kind of drunk, and that food will calm you down a bit. Suck up that alcohol. Looks like Chris is bringing some Tennessee moonshine.
Woo!
Yeehaw. Well, we need something to start the fire with. This weekend, Saturday.
Be there.
I'm bringing my longbow, and if I see a deer, I am going to whack it. So we may have fresh deer tamales. I'm going to try to make some tamales in camp, too.
Fresh backstrap.
Oh, yeah. I'll just throw the whole slab on, season it up.
On a fire.
Yeah, and we'll just cut pieces off it and eat it like Vikings. I'll use Benny's spear to hold it over the fire. What else? What else we got?
I'm done.
See you.
Benny, thank you.
I should see you guys on Saturday. We're going to try this.
Be safe.
There you go. No,
how come we're not getting the fireworks?
The other way.
The other way.
Keep going. Keep going. There you go. Throw it up. Same time. Gosh, dang it. This is why you got to listen to the podcast, because it ups in. Thanks, Benny.
There goes our monetization.
Yep.
Nice.
We'll see you, Benny. Chris?
Yeah.
Thank you. You're doing a good job. Doing a good job with all this.
I just use your name and throw it around.
But I couldn't do it. I would run everybody off.
Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something real quick. For all you people, and this is kind of for you too, Wayne. I have had to deal. It's only been 7 days I've been trying to raise money, and I just been on Facebook, socially. I have gotten so many calls, texts, messages. I'm wore out. Dan doing 90. He did 3 Zooms yesterday. 75. What do you say? 95 podcasts so far, or 70? It don't matter. And he took his time out. I called him just to ask him a couple questions. And he says the 19th. I mean, that's the only day he had. And he jumped on for 2 hours, you know? So it wears you out. It really does. So
working 90 hours a week.
That guy's not hiding nothing. He's not trying to rip nobody off. I think he's just passionate. I think he got thrown in this, and he's a good talker.
Well, he's good at what he does. He has a real commanding voice, and he has knowledge. He knows about all that stuff.
Yes.
And that's what.
Yep.
That's what we need. We need you to go shadow him for like 60 days.
I talked to kind of a big guy in the hound world in Colorado on Friday on my way home, and I said, someone needs to be hired just to follow him around, and Dan needs to be hired full time by a national houndsman association to just beat the hell out of these guys. We need somebody that, when they say, oh, Dan Gates or whoever we have coming in town, oh, shit, they're sending Dan Gates to Arizona. These guys say, man, we're going to lose money. Do we want to stay here? We need someone they fear.
That knows all the ins and outs.
Yep. Plain and simple. There you go, guys. Hound
Sounds good
this weekend.
Hasta luego.
Later.
Bunch of brain.